Never. Are you ready to answer the call?
To begin your journey, you can find any of the agencies of the Autauga County Firefighters Association on Facebook or visit makemeafirefighter.org.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
After damning politicians uphill and down dale for many years as rogues, vagabonds, frauds, and scoundrels, I sometimes suspect that, like everyone else, I often expect too much of them.
Joey Clark.
Welcome into the program here, and Happy New Year to everybody. First show of the new year that is 2025, and I guess terrorism's going to be a thing in 2025, but lone wolf terrorism. I think these guys got their New Year's resolutions backwards. That's the latest thing that came out this morning if you've been following it. Of course, an awful attack using a pretty big truck to run people over, 15 dead. At first, they thought there were accomplices. And of course, thought this is ISIS-inspired because of the ISIS flag there on the truck. Now the FBI believes that the New Orleans terror suspect acted alone. And then on top of that, you see the explosion of Tesla Cybertruck right outside the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. I believe that is the same exact hotel Trump watched Kamala Harris give her DNC speech from. And the incredible thing about that is, I think one dead, it was the driver, and not much damage otherwise. A lot of folks now crediting the Cybertruck itself. I guess it was supposed to be a message sent to both Elon and Trump about the year ahead, and as Trump becomes the 47th president of these here United States. But it turns out the Cybertruck is a frickin' tank. And, well, not even the glass doors at the opening of the Trump Hotel there in Vegas took any damage. And so seeing both of these things back to back as you're trying to enjoy your, New Year's Day, especially if you're a football fan, seeing the Sugar Bowl canceled, I guess that will be on tonight as the entire city, state, and federal government is providing resources. But it does, looking at people in positions of authority acting in real time, it's never satisfactory, is it? You spend all this money, you have all these surveillance methods. Well, of course, like clockwork, he was kind of on the FBI's radar. But strange things are happening now. That both of these guys worked, I believe, at the same exact military base. So the Las Vegas Cybertruck bomber worked at the same military base as the New Orleans terrorist Din Jabbar. Is the New Orleans terrorist guy, though he is an American citizen, served in the United States Army. But the guy in Vegas is named Livelsberger, 37, was identified by law enforcement. Sources is the bomber in the Wednesday attack that left 7 wounded. He served over 19 years in the Army, 18 of which were spent with Special Forces. This is according to his LinkedIn page, so you know it's credible. His current role was listed as a remote and autonomous systems manager, which he had been in for just 3 months. A Colorado townhouse associated with Livelsberger, this is again the guy who blew up the Cybertruck who is dead now, was raided by the FBI late on Wednesday night. Agents with the ATF were brought in to assist. The suspected bomber was raised in Ohio, moved to Colorado Springs as an adult, and has reportedly been linked to several addresses in the city, included the one searched by investigators. He is suspected of renting the Cybertruck in Colorado Springs via the Turo app. and driving it across the border to Nevada on Wednesday morning, stopping at various charging stations along the route. Also, the truck in the New Orleans attack rented through the Turo app, which I've never had a real reason to rent a car, or it's been a long time, so I didn't even know that thing existed. Law enforcement sources revealed that Livelsberger, who died Wednesday in the explosion, had previously served at the same military base as New Orleans terrorist Shamsuddin Jabbar, who's now dead at 42. Police have not confirmed if the pair were known to each other. Now the latest headlines are the New Orleans guy, the New Orleans terrorist, acted alone after saying he had accomplices. Well, we were wrong. The FBI says there's no definitive link that has been discovered between the Las Vegas and New Orleans attacks at this time. In a press conference, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Sheriff Kevin McMahill said the Cybertruck arrived in Vegas at 7:30 a.m. The explosion took place at 8:40 a.m. in the hotel's valet area. Surveillance footage showed the truck sitting outside the front entrance. Seconds later, the $80,000 car blew up in a fiery blaze. Debris smoked as the roof pinged off the pavement, and sparks, which looked like fireworks, could be seen lighting up the black cloud of smoke coming from the vehicle. A tumble of charred firework mortars, canisters, and other explosive devices were found in the back of the pickup. Officials are still exploring how the explosives were detonated, but sources have said that they were likely controlled by the driver. Livelsberger was the sole fatality in that attack in Vegas, and authorities largely credit Elon Musk's hulking truck with preventing further damage because it was able to contain much of the explosion. And in fact, the Las Vegas police went further than that and thanked Elon Musk outright for the help. It looked like Tesla was able to remotely check on the vehicle's condition before the explosion, saying it was not like their battery just went off, though those batteries can cause quite a fiery mess on their own. But here is a little bit of the Las Vegas police, Las Vegas police thanking Elon for his help in actually solving this. Let's listen in.
Yes, actually, I have to thank Elon Musk specifically. He gave us quite a bit of additional information in regards to how the vehicle was locked after it exploded due to the force of the nature of the force from the explosion, as well as being able to capture all of the video from the Tesla charging stations across the country, and he sent that directly to us. So I appreciate his help on that. I'll take.
And talk about an ad for that truck. That it really is a tank, and a pretty massive explosion. But again, now moving to New Orleans, the police are saying that this guy acted alone. The FBI saying we were wrong. There are no accomplices. This guy was a lone wolf.
At this point, investigators believe Jabbar picked up the rented F-150 in Houston, Texas on December 30th. He then drove from Houston to New Orleans on the evening of the 31st, and he posted several videos to an online platform proclaiming his support for ISIS. There were 5 videos posted on Jabbar's Facebook account, which are time-stamped beginning at 1:29 a.m. and the last at 3:02 a.m. In the first video, Jabbar explains he originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers, end quote. Additionally, he stated he had joined ISIS before this summer. He also provided a will and testament.
And talk about taking things hard out of a divorce. Apparently that's what happened. This guy, everything started going downhill as he's getting divorced. And I guess that's one rabbit hole you can go down. You can get into whiskey and women, or you can get into, radical Islam. Maybe this is why I've never been married. 272-9228. Let's go to line 3. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey there, Joey. It's Robert.
Hey, Robert. How are you doing?
Hi. I'm calling in. I hate to dilute from your monologue, but there was a question asked earlier on y'all other program, which I know the person that asked the question is still listening because we listen to all y'all programs. That's just how great y'all station are. No matter who the host is a great station. The answer to her question is tremendous love. The answer to her question she asked was, are we living in the last days? And I would like to reiterate to her that from the moment that you are conceived and you have a heartbeat, you are automatically in your last days because you start from life to death. The scripture has been misunderstood because it's been translated through the King James Version. King James had the Bible written to fit his lifestyle so he would not be ashamed among his peers. There are books missing from the King James Bible. The King James Bible has some truth, but it doesn't have all the books. If you want to know all the books, get the Greek Bible or the Hebrew Bible. It gives you the other 105 books that King James did not include into the King James Bible. And then also when it said, are you living in the last days and the world will be destroyed by fire, he don't mean physical fire. He means the fire that mankind has against each other. There's a heated life. There's a heated unbelief. There's a heated overwhelming or taking over one another. Because he's coming back to rule an earth that's not destroyed. He cannot rule it if it burned up by fire. So we got to understand that the Bible has truth in the King James Version, but it doesn't have the total truth. So, yes, Ms. Love, from the day you are born, from the day you get a heartbeat, you are living in your last days.
Yeah, and the last days are technically since Christ was resurrected and ascended into heaven. Been in the last days,
right,
waiting for his return.
Right. So, if I was born in 58, and I am living 50, 59, 50, 60, 61, 62, all my last days until my death.
But of course, there's also all the prophecies, like the last days will be self-centered, boastful, disobedient people, wars and rumors of wars, earthquakes, famines,
right,
pestilence.
Because that is where man had lost his love for God.
Wait, so this came up on the show before?
Yeah, she asked the question. I tried to call in and give her the answer, but I ran out of time. But you are in your last days from the moment you get a heartbeat.
Well, good answer, Robert. I'm glad Miss Love is able to listen all day, and you too. Appreciate it, man.
Yes. All right.
272-9228. Let's go to line one. You're on there. Who's this?
This is Miss Love.
Hey, Miss Love.
I call myself Love, though.
Hey, Love.
The question I asked was to the people in the station, and I let them give their answer. I did not give whether I believe it. But if your person want to talk to me in person, I don't mind giving my phone number. But I want him to come back and give me scriptures. I'm going to write them down, then I'm going to read them for myself. If he would like to do that, can I give him my phone number?
You can give it out over there if you want to, but I can take it down off air here.
Okay, you can take it down out there.
Okay, hold on for me. Hold on. 272-9228. I mean, it's easy to think we are in the end times. Like the last days have finally come to an end. Because I'm looking at this, when have there not been incurable sicknesses and pestilences? When has there not been wickedness, abject depravity, and malevolence on the part of man to man? When has there not been hunger? When have there not been natural disasters like earthquakes and floods? When has man ever been without war? I tend to believe that I don't know when the last days will end. But you better be ready anyway. 272-9228. Just to lighten up the mood here, it looks like a widespread travel problems will unfold with bitterly cold air to follow in many areas. I don't think this is going to affect a lot of our area. We'll leave that to, say, Rich Thomas. Y'all tune in for Rich Thomas weather coming up, or just go to the Rich Thomas weather app so you can check it yourself. But this front out, it looks strangely, it reminds me of something. It's almost phallic? I don't know. That's weird, man. It's like the whole nation's about to get it in a bad way. 272-9228. So terrorism attacks, college football, Bitcoin is reclaimed like 97,000 per Bitcoin. Joe Biden has given Miss Piggy Cheney, he's going to give her a presidential medal of some sort for what? I don't know, being a good little soldier for the establishment. I think Benny Thompson, who also chaired the January 6th, the Unselect Committee, as I like to call it, I think he's also getting a medal. So don't worry, kids. Even if you fail miserably, sometimes the people that you were a good little soldier for will give you a medal for your efforts. 272-9228. Hey, let's see who this is on the air. You're on the air. Who's this?
You came back to me.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. Keep holding. Let's go to line 3. You're on there. Who's this?
Oh, this is Duke.
Hey, Duke. How are you doing?
All right, my friend. I hadn't talked to you since last year, sir.
I know. It's been a year. I mean, you want to talk about the end times, last days, college football?
Well, last days, right quick. I had to put this on in. Speaking of the last days, you think we've got rid of the Bammers for a little while during this last days thing?
Have what for a little while?
The Bammers.
Oh.
I mean, they got their ass whipped, embarrassed the state of Alabama over the weekend, or whenever that game was. I got my days all confused now. But whatever day it was when they played Michigan, they embarrassed the state of Alabama. So is it getting close to their last days, my friend?
No, I think it's actually in the second book of Bear Bryant. When the tide falls, you know those days are upon you.
Happy New Year, Bammers.
Did you watch the Texas ASU? Did you watch the Texas ASU game?
Yeah.
That was, I've been telling folks all last week, I've been bored with football this year. That was a heck of a game.
Oh, yeah, that's a game right there, buddy, bro.
And then the Oregon Ducks crap in the bed. So,
Another Bammer, you know. But,
that's all you wanted to say. You just wanted to tie the Bammers to the end time.
I couldn't resist y'all talking about the last days and all that stuff, you know.
No, it was well said. That was well done.
I mean, it's been mighty quiet, you know. Maybe I have, you know, gotten my last days of hearing them running their mouth talking about how bad they are.
Yeah, I think it's also in the third book of Stallings that they're going to be lost in the wilderness for a few generations.
Throw in a little. What's the name? Not Gene Stallings, but Mike Dubois.
Oh, Mike Dubois.
Mike Schuler.
Yeah.
You throw those cats in there too. You're gonna toss the other guys around like that.
Well, no, but it's a pattern. You have a great coach, and then you're going to be lost in the wilderness for a while with some losers.
I heard Saban pissed off too, boy. Rolled his eyes at the new coach and everything.
Well, and it's also, everybody's like, wait, so now that everybody can pay players, Bama's not that competitive? I'm a man of integrity. How dare you? It's like, okay, sure.
Where's Eddie?
I don't know. He usually messaged me.
Okay.
I have no clue. Hope he's all right.
Okay, he's not here today. Okay. All right, my friend. I just want to pick at the Bamas for a few.
Well, I appreciate for doing that. And you're looking forward to...
Go watch our number 2 team in the nation of basketball, Bammers. Need something to do.
And you looking forward to the inauguration of Trump?
Yeah, man. We're looking forward to all of it because they're already fighting in-house fighting.
I know.
It's Steve Bannon and all of them. Can you play some of that stuff today for me?
Sloppy Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate it, dude.
Appreciate you.
272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by Sweet Creek Farm Market. And they're at Sweet Creek. They're ready to help you out. Go see Reed Ingram there at Sweet Creek, just 2 miles south of Taylor Road on Highway 231. It is a beautiful establishment. Not only is it a delicious establishment, not only does it have an amazing selection there, it's a beautiful property. It really is. So it could be your grocery shopping for some fresh produce or some Alabama sourced and made goods. Or it could be you're looking for a warm lunch, a tasty sandwich, or just a warm coffee And that's actually a great idea. Just go to their award-winning cafe and bring the kids and let them play around the playground, run around with the chickens. You might even see the peacock, who knows. And of course, there at Sweet Creek, they also have the largest selection of locally grown pecans, roasted and salted pecans, honey roasted, classic pralines, chocolate honey baked, or even creamy white chocolate pecans. And of course, they always have a great events, special things going on there at Sweet Creek Farm Market. So check them out. Be sure to like them on Facebook and follow for all the fun they have upcoming here in the new year. Again, that's Sweet Creek Farm Market. Be sure to go find Reed Ingram, or if you can't find Reed, find Karen Ingram, find Reed and Karen Ingram, and be sure to tell them that Joey, that fella on the radio, sent you. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend, must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
Well, hi, everybody. We're dealing with some cool days and some very chilly nights, but next brand of some really cold air holds off till next week. Sunshine today, high up to about 55. Mostly clear, chilly tonight, low 33. Friday becoming windy, high 57 with sunshine. Friday night's low in the upper 20s. Saturday's high may only make it to about 49, but the winds will make it seem colder. It'll be sunny. Risk of scattered showers holding off till about Sunday or Sunday night. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
All the headlines the mainstream media won't touch. Your News Talk station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Robert, if you want to call back, I have Miss Love's number, and if y'all want to actually get in touch with one another, happy to connect y'all. Last night's attack in New Orleans was pure evil. It was put out yesterday morning by Coach Tommy Tuberville saying, "Please join me in praying for the victims and their families." Tuberville went on in the afternoon of January the 1st to say, "Under Joe Biden, our national security has been dismantled and American citizens have been put in danger. January 20th, President Trump will restore law and order. The Senate should confirm every single one of his cabinet nominees ASAP." Representative Barry Moore put out there that the terrorist attack in New Orleans last night was a horrifying act of evil. He said yesterday afternoon, "The American people deserve answers about what led to this attack. My prayers are with law enforcement, the victims, and their families during this difficult time." Robert Adderholt also putting out messages. So did Terry Sewell. Sewell saying, "My heart goes out to the entire New Orleans community after last night's attack. There's no place for such horrific violence in our nation." Robert Adderholt saying, "While terrorism has not been in the news as much in recent years, these incidents remind us that there are individuals within our own country who seek to inflict death and destruction on innocent lives." And of course, United States Senator Katie Britt put out a message saying the terrorist attack in New Orleans was an act of unbridled evil. We continue to pray for the victims' loved ones and the survivors, as well as the brave law enforcement officers who rushed toward danger in selfless service to their fellow Americans. The American people deserve transparency and accountability as the pursuit of justice proceeds. As ranking member of the Senate Homeland Security Appropriations Subcommittee, Senator Britt goes on to say, "I have requested a formal briefing from DHS and FBI and that a briefing be made available to all senators. With the 119th Congress beginning Friday, we must work nonstop to get President Trump's national security team in place without delay." And that is a refrain you're hearing across the nation from Republican lawmakers. And, you know, when you look at these attacks, the top story at 1819 News right now is incredibly tragic. A University of Alabama student was killed in that terror attack in New Orleans on New Year's Eve. University of Alabama President Stuart Bell confirmed Kareem Badwadi was among 15 killed when a man drove a truck through the French Quarter. "I learned today that Kareem Badwadi, one of our students at the University of Alabama, was killed in the terrorist attack in New Orleans," Bell said in a statement. "I grieve alongside family and friends of Kareem in their heartbreaking loss. The university is offering counseling to students." And then, of course, WAKA here in Montgomery are reporting that there was a Auburn University graduate was also among those killed in New Orleans. The president of Auburn, Christopher B. Roberts, issued this statement. "On behalf of Auburn University, I send my sincere condolences to the family and loved ones of 2023 graduate Drew Dolphin, who was taken from us in the New Orleans terror attack. Words cannot convey the sorrow the Auburn family feels for Drew's family and friends during this unimaginably difficult time. Our thoughts are with the family and the families of all the victims of this senseless tragedy." And, you know, I'm mostly my homebody these days, personally, but I've had my debauched times down on Bourbon Street. I recognize the streets very well. Spent enough time down there. It's like, who knows? That could have been you. Like, hey, you want to go out for New Year's Eve? Really enjoy, kick off the new year the right way in a very fun city. So it could have been anybody. And to have both of these attacks, the one in New Orleans and the one in Vegas, go down on the same time frame. Get ready for 2025 is all I can say. And especially get ready for 2025. Because with the lying of the media and the lying of so many major supposedly authoritative institutions in our country, with the loss of trust in those major institutions and authorities, a pandemic can be really difficult to get through. An economic, say, inflationary crisis can be really difficult to get through. Understanding what are the actual stakes and threats globally for the United States as we head into the second quarter century of the 21st century. That's pretty hard to do. To speak to the people plain into the purpose and have them trust your voice if you're a voice of power, it's very tough to do. But when you have things blowing up in the streets of America, when you have people run over in the streets of America, when you have awful things happening that don't rise to the level of terrorism, but they're awful nonetheless and signal a sort of rot or corruption. I think of the images of those kids pushing a man in front of an oncoming train in New York City. I believe the man is still alive. How? I don't know. But all that's real tough. When we lose trust, when the voice of power seems like it's always selling you disinformation, or at least not giving you the whole story, maybe because the whole story is just that ugly and they don't know how the population will react, or even worse, they really don't know, and they hate to admit when they don't know things. I was too young to really understand the political fallout from 9/11 as it was going on. I was too young. I was only 12, just becoming a teenager at 13. But in this age of post-trust, post-truth, where information is coming at you at the speed of light, it seems, hold on to your butts if this is what we're about to see going into the Trump administration. It's a shame this ever happens. Yet it has. Of course, folks will carry on, keep going. I'm going to, new year, new me. I'm tired of my love handles, my yada, yada, yada. You ready to watch the Sugar Bowl at 3 this afternoon? Right. So life will go on. But if something even bigger than what we saw yesterday occurs in this day and age, who knows what the fallout will be? I don't even think those with the most inside knowledge actually know what the fallout will be. We shall see in the fullness of time, as my former host used to say. 272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by James Cole and Cole Plumbing. And they're Cole Plumbing. They're ready to help you with your everyday plumbing problems. Like, low water pressure, clogged drain. Or it could be a big issue, like you get the water bill and it's way too expensive. I didn't install a pool. This is way too much water. Could be you have a leak outside or a leak inside your home you just haven't detected yet. Well, Cole Plumbing understands that time is of the essence. They'll get out there and with this proprietary pipelining technology unique to Cole Plumbing, they'll solve your issue with precision expertise without having to tear out a bunch of drywall, dig up a huge hole in your yard, without creating a big old mess inside or outside. And of course, they can also help you even if you don't really have a problem other than you want nicer things. So you want to upgrade to a tankless water heater system. Maybe you want to add accessories to the bathroom or the kitchen. They can help you with all of that there at Cole Plumbing. So call them today at 279-8919. That's 279-8919. And just remember, folks, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole. And be sure to tell James and the team that Joey, that fellow on the radio, sent you. Let's go to line 3. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, Joey, it's Branch.
Hey, Branch, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How are you? Happy New Year.
New Year, new me. Still fat.
Yeah, there you go. That's okay. It's a new day, new year, man. Hey, I heard your comment that Drew Dolphin was one of the victims in the New Orleans. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know him?
I don't.
He his either father or uncle, both of them went to Jeff Davis.
Okay.
One of them played football with your dad. JD.
Oh, wow.
Graduated in 80 and 79 and 80. And I don't know which one's the dad and which one's the uncle, but the one I think's the uncle has something on his Facebook. Condolences. People were saying, I'd hoped it wasn't your family. So, and I looked it up. It's spelled the same. I know that name. I know that's one of them. It's just really hard to comprehend how close all this stuff is to home,
Well, and I remember he just graduated from Auburn. I remember that could have been me. That could have been any of us going down after you graduate and join New Orleans.
We've all been standing right there on that street, where that truck came through. Just scary stuff. Well, my prayers go out to everybody, just sad, especially this time of year. And man, it's just unbelievable that something like that could happen in this country.
It is.
Well, it's incomprehensible, but it's not believable the way we're going. We need to get it fixed quickly. Well, hey, buddy, I just want to let you know that. Again, Happy New Year. Enjoy your show.
Appreciate it, Branch. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. It is heartbreaking. Especially when anybody passes, but there is something about kids, like when people harm children, when people harm those who are young adults who are in the prime of their life. And because you look at, that's somebody's child, you look at the promise and the potential, and you think back on, yeah, it could have been you. It's awful. And you hate to see it because, I consume news every day, for better or for worse. And so you just see the number. 15 there. 1 here. So how many injured there? How many shot in this particular thing? And you always have to have those moments. I'm sure y'all have. Anybody who's had a little introspection and thought about the world, you've had that breakthrough where you realize that all the intricacies and like the story of your life. Maybe the closest people to you know that story, but really you're the only one who could tell it. You're the only one who's lived it. And it's full of all the tragedies, all the hopes, all the complexities, and you're the main character of your own story. And when you have that breakthrough that actually everybody thinks they're the main character, well, maybe not everybody, but most people think they're the main character of their own story. And when you step back and you try to take that 10,000 foot point of view, you realize just how much potential is there, how much love can be there, and honestly, how fragile all of this is. It can go before you know it. It's a shame. I'm looking at Drew's photo right now. It's an absolute shame. And in an age where we don't, a lot of people, I say we, maybe you trust the folks, I don't. It's hard to believe what your own eyes are seeing. It's hard to know what is the correct information. As much as you might want to trust a particular group or institution, they'll still let you down. Nobody's perfect, and certainly nobody here on God's green earth is infallible. Well, except for the Pope in certain circumstances, said the boy raised as a Catholic. But truly, nobody is actually omnipotent or omniscient or infallible. That's beyond us here. So somebody will always let you down. Things will let you down. But there's something going on in this country right now where our institutions need to be rebuilt. They need to come clean. And when you see how messy it is in the wake of these events, where they're saying, oh, he had accomplices. Actually, no, he acted alone. We don't know. It's very fluid. And honestly, when it comes to the officers, law enforcement on the ground, I feel for those guys. They're working hard. Real hard. But when it comes to the upper level, when it comes to management, when it comes to the leadership teams, there's a reason Americans don't trust y'all. And the only thing I think that's going to solve it is, well, be honest. Say, here's where we've screwed up in a systematic way over the years. Here's how we're going to fix it. And in some cases, it's like, well, we don't need your services here. If you're a good agent, go work for this institution. We are downsizing this particular institution that's had a bad name for way too long. What I worry, though, is that it's this sort of thing that when you don't trust your, say, government, to put in a general term, when you don't trust your government, often government will look for scapegoats or for enemies on the horizon in order to distract you from their failures. And then often when they fail, that means they'll have to take more of your liberty and more of your money. Again, we'll see. Can Americans be distracted to the rot of their own institutions if we point at China enough or Russia enough? Or to Islamic terrorism over the world? Probably not in this day and age. It's going to take more than that. It's actually going to take, again, some coming clean on the part of the authorities. Are they going to? I doubt it. I got a feeling it's going to be a rocky road for a while. But thank God that it's going to be new leadership in America, and we'll see how much this actually is a democracy representative of the people's will, or whether the rotting deep state will prevail. Again, 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. That's 334-272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by Bo Goodson and the Goodson Group. And they're the Goodson Group. Bo and his team are ready to help you out, whether you're looking to buy or sell here in the River Region real estate market. Bo's been helping buyers and sellers in the Montgomery and surrounding area for nearly half a century now. And at the Goodson Group, not only can they help you with buying and selling your property, they have a boatload of experience managing rental property. So maybe you want to rent out your home. They have the management services available for a reasonable fee. It'll still, be a performing asset for you, getting a tenant in there and all that. But why not have the Goodson Group manage it for you if you don't know how to do that? And then the crown jewel at the Goodson Group is the Bo Goodson Real Estate School. It's one of the most highly acclaimed and accredited real estate programs in the state of Alabama. And the proof is all the folks who have graduated and gone on to great success as fully licensed real estate agents or as more knowledgeable private players. So check them out today. You can always go to thegoodsongroup.com or give them a call. 551-0225. That's 551-0225. Bo Goodson and the Goodson Group. Great sponsor here of the program.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man, Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money? Well, like most smart folks, we call David Ernest. You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist? That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. I see. Yes, he is our preferred money man. The money man with the money plan. You've been paying attention. Well, could you give us those numbers one more time? 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man. Oh, what's that? I'm not an elk. Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you? Knights of Columbus. I am not even going to make a comment. Well, the baby liked it.
Hello, this is Yasmin Hostin with Beauty and Beyond. We've been advertising with Blue Water Broadcasting for 10 years plus. If you would like to increase your business, use Blue Water Broadcasting radio stations. They get results.
Radio reaches over 90% of everyone in the River region. Shouldn't your ads be out there where your customers are? Call us to find out more. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
Did you know that over 12 times a day, someone in Autauga County calls 911 to report a medical or fire emergency? Volunteer first responders are saving lives and property, and you can be part of their team.
Volunteering as a first responder is really about making a difference where it's needed most, and Autauga County needs you now more than ever. Are you ready to answer the call?
To begin your journey, you can find any of the agencies of the Autauga County Firefighters Association on Facebook or visit makemeafirefighter.org.
We get Montgomery talking 24 hours a day. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Soldier Boy. Hey, Soldier Boy, how you doing?
Thank you for taking my call. Hey, first of all, I'm going to call out a few people. Let's call out the sheriff or the police chief of Vegas, okay? Steps up to the microphone, okay? Guess who's over his right shoulder? Nancy Pelosi. Go look at the video, okay? And if it wasn't for her open border, maybe we wouldn't have had the problem. It's kind of now you show up and you're the cause of part of the cause. But here's the thing: is out of all the cars to rent in the world, you rent a freaking Tesla, okay? And of course, this happens to park anywhere you want to in Vegas, and I've been to Vegas, a lot of parking spots, but you park smack right in front of the front door of the Trump Tower, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he says, we don't know if there's any connection or coincidence.
Yeah, come on, man.
Look at that, dude. Are you stupid? He'd been fired right there for insubordination or stupidity. Come on, Joey.
Oh no, and the symbolism I think was going to be let's have the Cybertruck blow up and hit Trump's logo and hotel and all this stuff. Yeah. It turns out it went the other way. It's because the Cybertruck was so strong, Trump Hotel was protected.
Here's what's so funny is, okay? He's trying to send a message. I guarantee you, all this is going to make Mr. Trump and his crew more vigilant. These people are going to be hunted down. Trust me. It's like that movie. What was that movie, Taken?
Yeah.
I know your voice.
Yeah.
I hear you. I have means of hurting you.
I have
and
ways
will
of making you
find
talk.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he did more than make them talk, man. I mean, he's like, I'm going to find you, and I'm like, oh, Lord, this guy's crazy. But no, okay? And so I just don't understand that. And then you got that stupid, oh, my, I don't know if I'll ever want to go to New Orleans again. I know they're Democrats down there, and they run that damn town. And the mayor, they vote for stupid mayors, and everybody else down there is stupid. But here's a question about this one. She comes out first thing without even knowing what time of day it is, what day it is, what year it is. It's not terrorism. What?
Yeah.
Who told you that? It's not terrorism. And who asked to eat her words 3 hours later?
Oh, them. Yeah. No, that's where I was like, what are you talking about? This is like, I don't think it was just a guy who was drunk going for a joyride. Like, it's apparent from the video what it was.
And here's another thing is, if you don't think, this is to your guest and yourself, Joey, and everybody, if you don't think those two are connected together, then you're as stupid as my dog. Oh, my cat, really, not my dog.
Well, how are they connected then?
Well, how are they connected? Look at the time schedule. Perfect timing.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was some coordination involved in it. This was not a random, I feel like this morning getting up and I'm going to ruin it.
Well, and there are a lot of folks pointing out, and again, I qualify all this because it's moving fast, but both of the guys involved in this served at Fort Bragg, as did Ryan Ruth, the guy who tried to kill Trump, the second assassination attempt. And, what are the odds? Isn't Fort Bragg massive, though?
It is a very large base. But
a lot of people have been at Fort Bragg.
Let's put it this way. It's all a coincidence, Joey, of all the bases to be. I mean, come on. Like, that's the only freaking base? And, this is, people need to stop and think before they open their mouths, okay? And the FBI, everybody's. Who's the guy that's going to be taking over the FBI?
Kash Patel.
Okay, Kash Patel. And his boss is going to be the Attorney General, right?
Yes, Pam Bondi.
Okay. They need to be concerned more about going after these terrorists that are sneaking across our unsecured, fake, invisible border down there on the south of our border, okay? Than going after Catholics and freaking parents and school boards. Good God.
Yeah, man.
Know your target.
No, and I said it earlier today. It's like all the money, all the powers that they have, and so often this stuff just goes, well, we're sorry, we should have really cracked out on that one.
Didn't the FBI director sit there and finally said something freaking believable? And he went in a committee and he was being questioned everything, and was in that he says we are very eminent and dangerous level right now. And look what happens. The man's telling you the crap's going to happen. And like Mr. Trump said, there's some bad hombres coming across that border. You ain't lying.
Yeah, but I think, man, at this point, most folks just want to watch Sugar Bowl.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
They don't want to see the big picture, do they?
No, they want to just enjoy their football and their new year. And
Joey, so do I. I want to watch the game. Absolutely.
Right.
I'm going to watch it on my 85 inches of loving, okay? But the end of the line, I look at the big picture. People are dying, and we're going to be attacked. And then there's going to be more often, too. And unless Mr. Trump I guarantee you right now, he's telling his boys at the Homeland Security and the rest of them, once you get in, you need to go. ICE, you need to get them and get this trash. We know it's there. How many times we've caught terrorists coming across the border?
Oh, a lot. And how many have you not caught? Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is that Tom Homan guy coming in as border czar ain't playing. And as much as the media wants to play this game of how are you going to deport 20 million people, that's not what they're going to do, because honestly, you can't do that in a year. What you can do,
high risk target.
Yes, you can go after the million that are known criminals or suspected criminals and terrorists. Go for it.
So you've caught like 200 or 300 on your terrorist hit list when they went through, okay? And like you said, how many went through that you didn't know about or didn't catch or didn't vet? Unbelievable. There's cells just sitting here waiting, Joey. You better be ready.
Well,
I mean, if I went to the Sugar Bowl, you don't think I wouldn't be apprehensive, okay?
Well, and I worry about with big events like that, drones.
I'd be looking over my shoulder every second, though.
Yeah. Well, that's why you got that 85 inches, so you can watch it from your couch or something.
That's too bad. Rather, I'd trade that TV in for a pair of tickets, in a heartbeat there.
See, I wouldn't.
If it's nosebleed, you know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't.
But being Catholic,
Being Catholic, yes, that makes sense about everything you've said. So you're just.
That's right. Exactly. I've got my boys, man.
And by the way, what's the deal with all these folks converting to Catholicism over the last year or two? It's kind of nuts, actually.
Kind of creepy.
Yeah, it's like welcome into the flock.
What is this, planned or scheduled?
No, I think people really during and out of COVID, I think people were looking for meaning in life and a direction in life. And in many ways, as much as the Catholic Church has plenty of problems, and we could probably both cite and go into, it is very old and has these institutions that have stood the test of time. And when people feel like they can't trust their own institutions, they'll turn to something that's a little more eternal.
Absolutely. Exactly. They're distracted. It's easy to go and jump over to another lane in a highway when there's less traffic over there, and hop over. It's like, hey, that one's open. I'm going to go over there. Instead of staying in your damn lane and don't worry about it, So we'll see tonight, though.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, Joey.
Appreciate it, man.
I just want fire the FBI, everybody.
272-9228. That's 334-272-9228. No, there is going to need to be a reckoning. I think the government, to put it mildly, is bloated. In other ways, I think it's downright corrupt. But when it comes to the men and women on front lines trying to actually solve these things quickly or prevent these things in the first place, those folks, they don't have an easy job. I'll put it that way. They have no easy job at all. Of course, you can always look back, hindsight, and be like, well, you should have done this, you should have done that. From what I've seen so far, this doesn't rise to the level of, like, say, the security failures around the first assassination attempt of Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. That still needs to be answered, and I have not heard a satisfactory answer. Maybe we'll never get the answer. But the same institution that raided Trump's home, that helped spy on him for all these years, yeah, come on. Not buying that. And honestly, the lower level agents, whether federal agents or officers out there on the streets, they deserve better leadership than what it seems we have at this point. Yeah, here's, I'm looking at it now. This is not a terrorist event. That's what they came out saying. First, there's nothing to see here. It's just a despairing, depressed divorce guy. Well, it is a crazy road. You're here for what? You're here in the United States for 40 years. You've done very well. Served in the armed forces. And, okay, you have money trouble and your life falls apart and you turn to ISIS? Guess everybody's got a story to follow. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation in the next hour. That's 334-272-9228. If you can't tell, I'm flying solo today. So if you want to join in, please do. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Officials say the person who died when a Tesla Cybertruck packed with explosives burst into flames outside
President-elect Donald Trump's Las Vegas hotel was an active duty U.S. Army soldier and member of its elite Green Berets. The man identified as Matthew Livelsberger. The FBI now says the New Orleans truck attacker acted alone in an act of terrorism when he drove a pickup truck into a crowd of New Year's revelers early Wednesday, killing 14 people. The driver had posted videos on social media just hours before the carnage, saying he was inspired by the Islamic State and expressed a desire to kill. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 274 points, the Nasdaq off 141. This is SRN News.
You know, as they say, one person's personal information is another person's treasure.
Exactly. That's why I use NordVPN every time I surf the web. Features like Threat Protection Pro safeguard devices from phishing websites and disable intrusive ads and trackers. Just check NordVPN.com, grab the deal, and see for yourself. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
Attention American homeowners, you're under attack. Your home and equity could be vulnerable to cyber thieves. There's only one company that completely stops them, and that company is Equity Protect. Equity Protect prevents any attempts to steal your home, equity, and ownership 24/7. Get your free risk report today by texting the word HOME to 94878. That's right, text the word HOME to 94878 to get your free risk report. Keep your equity and legacy safe with Equity.
Rich Thomas weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend, must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
Well, hi, everybody. We're dealing with some cool days and some very chilly nights, but next brand, there's some really cold air holds off till next week. Sunshine today, high up to about 55. Mostly clear, chilly tonight, low 33. Friday becoming windy, high 57 with sunshine. Friday night's low in the upper 20s. Saturday's high may only make it to about 49, but the winds will make it seem colder. It'll be sunny. Risk of scattered showers holding off till about Sunday or Sunday night. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Budget Floors and More is your low-price leader for everything you need for flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies. For the best prices on luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, flooring installation supplies, and more, shop Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey to Publix.
From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, these are today's top stories. Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall has announced he will not run for governor in 2026. There are expectations of a crowded field of candidates seeking the governor's office as Governor Kay Ivey's 8-year tenure comes to an end. There's also been speculation Steve Marshall may be joining the incoming Trump administration in some capacity. More families will be able to send their children to private schools as open enrollment for Alabama's new School Choice Educational Savings Account program begins today. Families may apply for the ESA program January 2nd through April 7th, as the CHOOSE Act will be going into effect next school year. A law passed in 2024 removing all income taxes on capital gains from the sale of silver and gold went into effect on January 1st. The new law, also known as the Sound Money Tax Neutrality Act, protects individuals from being taxed on constitutional forms of currency during times of high inflation. Alabama was the 13th state to pass such legislation. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Adams Drugs has been committed to the health care of the people of the River region for over 62 years. We value the trust each customer has in our pharmacists, techs, and entire staff. If you have not experienced the difference of Adams Drugs and are not satisfied with the customer service that you get in the big box stores, we invite you to visit any of our locations and see how committed we are to your satisfaction. Adams Drugs offers a variety of services that you will not find in all pharmacies in the River region. personalized compounding, area-wide delivery, wellness screenings, immunizations, medication consultations, and specialized packaging, just to name a few. Visit us at our website, adamsdrugs.net, and find the location nearest you. Adams Drugs has 12 convenient locations to serve you. Your satisfaction is our number one goal. Adams Drugs is your local Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back into News and Views in the afternoon. Second hour here of the program. Now, I want to focus on a new guy. Well, he's a familiar face, but he's going to be the new guy running point on, well, illegal immigration. And securing not just the border, but securing, okay, you can't just text me this, like, Chris V ran into Russell Brand and Seagrove. You get to meet Russell Brand. I don't get to meet Russell Brand, but he's one of the guys I was thinking of, just converted to Catholicism. Anyway, that's pretty awesome. Good for you, Chris. Very cool. But no, one guy that is very serious about all this is this Tom Homan guy, who's going to be the border czar. So as 2024 finally ended, and 2025 ushered in a renewed era of hope for tens of millions of Americans, we're again reminded that violence has become all too common in our country as a radicalized terrorist mowed down New Year's Eve revelers on Bourbon Street, killing 15, injuring multiple others. Also, the Tesla Cybertruck, filled with fireworks and gasoline and whatnot, exploding outside the Trump Hotel in Vegas, killing the driver, injuring several people in the area. Whether from mentally disturbed individuals who shouldn't be on the streets, radicalized American citizens, terrorist organizations, or Mexican drug cartels, deadly violence isn't simply going to be waved away with a magic wand after President-elect Donald Trump is sworn into office. This brings us to the intentionally caused Biden-Harris border crisis and its worsening impact on our country and fellow citizens over the last 4 years. Trump's incoming border czar, Tom Homan, recently told Fox and Friends that violence along the southern border is expected to initially increase as the administration begins to implement its plan to stop the madness. Here's the quote. Well, I think we may see more of it. I mean, President Trump, I'm not speaking for President Trump, but, he is going to take actions against the criminal cartels in Mexico. Criminal cartels in Mexico kill more of the American people, than every terrorist organization in the world. Shutting down the border is going to put them out of business. Clearly, Homan, unlike Alejandro Mayorkas, you remember that guy, who's still, I guess, in power. Homan is pragmatic. He's straightforward. He and his team are not only thinking ahead, they're taking steps to eliminate and minimize anticipated violence from the drug cartels, who are likely desperate as Biden and Mayorkas are about to slither away. And Trump and Homan are about to enter office with a fierce determination to put an end to the insanity. Homan spelled it out, saying, "So I think you are going to see more violence on the border in the beginning. It's something we certainly have to do. We've got to secure the border because it's the biggest national security vulnerability we have ever seen in our country. So I think you're going to see more cross-border crime in the beginning. But it's something that we expect, and it's something we are going to have to deal with because we have to secure the border." In a wide-ranging interview with the Wall Street Journal last Friday, Homan said the incoming administration is considering the use of military bases to detain illegal aliens in military aircraft to boost deportations. It's something that's certainly on the table, said Homan. We're waiting to see what Congress is going to give us for funding. Homan added that incoming officials haven't finalized how much money they will need to request from Congress to implement Trump's deportation plan. Incidentally, if you haven't seen Homan in action, just remember that clip of Homan with AOC, where AOC really tried to trap him in some congressional hearing, and Homan was having none of it. None of it indeed. So just a reminder of who we're talking about here. Let's play the clip. This is again Tom Homan. The incoming border czar. Let's listen in.
Which includes family separation.
The same as it is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father
Mr.
from his
Homan,
family.
with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're into the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay.
Okay. So should
Yeah, I think this new team coming in means business, but because they mean business, I think there's going to be all sorts of resistance. This time, it'll probably, like it was the first time, come from within the government. But if you really do start poking and shutting down revenue streams and opportunities for these drug cartels that are essentially warlord governments, often many that inculcate a culture of death, not just a culture of brutality, not just a culture of toughness and risk-taking, of a culture of death. Death is almost worshipped down there. And all sorts of ungodly, depraved things go on beyond just murder. If you really start shutting down those groups' opportunities to grow, to make money, to expand what they do, they're not going to take it lying down. Doesn't mean you don't do it. It does mean who knows what we're about to get into. As you try to, think about the new year, new me thing. Say you're fat and out of shape and you let yourself go over the years and you want to change. It's not going to be easy at first. Your body is going to fight back and say, "Oh, what are you doing to me?" And that's just a simple example of when you try to change anything that has been stuck in a rut, that has been in a particular groove for so long. When you try to change it, when you try to remove it from that rut, it's never quite as easy as you hoped. Doesn't mean you don't do it. So it's good seeing the team come together now, but then the question is going to be, who's going to be in leadership in the Congress? We already know that John Thune will be one of these people. John Thune being the Senate Majority Leader. But the question now is, what will Mike Johnson be doing? Now, that is tomorrow. On Friday, Mike Johnson will have his high noon moment. Inauguration Day is on the 20th, yes. Trump won't be sworn until the 20th. And it will be a day one for the ages. But don't forget January 6th, which is when the House certifies the election results. And there's not going to be any fireworks in the upper chamber, as John Thune will now run things instead of Chuck Schumer, which is a good thing. In the House, however, nothing happens until they have a speaker. Mike Johnson is the only person who has or wants the job, but is not a lock to win the required 217 votes. The Republican caucus will send 219 members. He can lose 2 and no more to become Speaker. Kentucky's Thomas Massey, who is the new leader there of, say, folks who are principled. I know that's so frustrating to some of y'all. Has steadfastly maintained that he will vote for someone else besides Johnson. Who that is remains unknown. Everyone else in the caucus has to line up. Trump has been working the phones already this morning and will continue to do so in order to shore up support for Johnson and avoid a protracted speaker fight that delays the election certification vote on Monday. Johnson, who does represent a district in Louisiana, appeared on Fox and Friends Thursday morning. After updating on the terror attack in his home state, he said he's increasingly confident he'll have the votes tomorrow. Well, I mean, let's listen in. Let's see, or at least listen. How confident is he?
We're going to get this done. Look, I'm humbled and honored to have President Trump's endorsement for the role again, as well as the endorsement of leaders across the conservative spectrum and the Republican Party, all of my colleagues that are standing with us, and we will get this done. Look, the things that we're talking about this morning are an illustration that we live in very serious times. We cannot afford any palace drama here. We have got to get the Congress started, which begins tomorrow, and we have to get immediately to work. We have to certify the election of President Donald J. Trump on January 6th, on Monday. And we have many important things pressing on us right now. So there's no time to waste. We have to stay unified. The American people gave us a mandate. You know, President Trump got 77 million votes. We got almost 75 million for House Republicans, the largest number ever. And they have sent us a message that they want us to begin fixing all of this, and we will, and we're excited to do that.
Mr. Speaker, some of your members, especially within the House Freedom Caucus, have said they're not going to vote for you. So have you talked with them, had private conversations? Have they committed? Have they reversed that decision? Because it's a numbers game.
Yeah, it's a numbers game. We have the smallest margin in U.S. history. We'll have a margin of probably 2 votes tomorrow during that, so can only afford to lose 1 or 2. But I think we'll get it done. I really do, Lawrence. I've talked to every single one of those friends and colleagues over the holidays. We'll be talking about process reforms inside the House, and I've encouraged all of them, and I think the reason they're all going to vote yes is this. We're shifting into a brand new paradigm. We have unified government that begins tomorrow. We have the White House, the Senate, and the House, a totally different situation than we dealt with over the last 14 months since I've been Speaker. So,
yeah, but Mike, what if you say, like, lied to Thomas Massie? Why should Thomas Massie vote for you? I guess to go along with the team? Well, Massie, I know people want to, it's amazing, people's understanding of who these folks are. Thomas Massie is one of the most principled people in the Congress. He does not give a damn what the corporate media, what the X or any other social media craze is saying. He doesn't care what the party wants. He's going to stand on what he thinks is right. He was the one guy that made all those yahoos actually vote during COVID. One of the few who actually stood up and said, this is insanity what we're doing during COVID. It took all sorts of slings and arrows, including from Trump himself. He's the one guy who's been consistent on so many issues. And that should tell you something about the United States Congress. Well, what's the line we so often use?
In politics, man must learn to rise above principle.
And they've perfected that greatly, with the exception of 1 or 2. Yeah, they'll probably lose Massie and Chip Roy. Unless, Johnson or Trump or somebody can sweeten the deal for one of those 2. We'll see. But it's going to be a tight vote tomorrow. Let's go to line 1. You're on there. Who's this?
Some Blue Days.
Hey, Some Blue Days. How you doing?
Well, I've been better after the Tide laid another egg.
Yeah, that was the Saban era's over, right?
Yeah. Mediocrity, back to being average, sometimes below average. But we have the memories, and we'll move on. Hey, did you get inspired by the police chief in New Orleans?
She's awful. And when you go, well, where was she before? Oh, Oakland. Oh God, she's terrible.
She's been around the block, and when the hysteria was going on, when everybody was trying to cancel the police and trying to get the most liberal chief they could find, she popped up.
Yep.
And it's just. Have we got a new chief yet?
No, I think Arondé Mitchell, Councilman Mitchell, said that it's narrowed down to just a few, but he wouldn't give more than that. And plus, he's obviously not the one in charge of that. And we're trying to get the mayor on, though I doubt he'll tell us.
Well, maybe if the good mayor could stay out of Malibu and all points in between and come back home and quit writing checks to this company in Texas on the police search, we might could get one. That's my hope for the new year, but
Well, but I think it's a good hope, and I think it's a good point. I don't know why it's taking so long, and maybe Gray Boys is doing a good enough job. Let's just keep the local guy. But, if you would if you could be Hollywood swinging, you'd do it. I get it.
oh yeah, I mean, I've been to Malibu, been to. I mean, it's fun, Hollywood, all that stuff. Especially when you're going on the taxpayer's dime. But anyway, hey, if you try to stop shoplifting, I'll give you an example. We're talking about the border, about could be violence. If you've had an open shoplifting policy, like, say, maybe, I don't name the stores, and you don't charge people with shoplifting, and you've been letting this go on for 5 years or so, 10 years, and then all of a sudden you decide we're going to enforce shoplifting, and we're going to prosecute. And the people have been used to going in there and getting whatever they wanted and walking out with it, but now there's going to be resistance, and they better be ready, because those drug cartels, just like we found out in Fast and Furious, they don't mind shooting federal law enforcement. They don't mind taking state law enforcement officers, kidnapping them, cutting their heads off, pulling their toes off. They don't care. And when you're talking about the amount of money they're making, it's not going to be an easy win. So, as he said, just get ready, because it's probably going to get bloody.
Yes, it is. Well, I appreciate it. 272-9228. That's 334-272-9228. Yeah, this has been, I think, a quiet war festering for a long time, actually. That the cartels have run Mexico for a long time. For even longer, they're like, what border? And I mean, they say it with a straight face. Like, you have guys that go up and down the neck there of Central America into California and all throughout the United States. And I mean, it's like their territory. They run this. And you got to wonder how many folks are already in the country. This means Trump and Homan and the entire Homeland Security, FBI, whoever is pursuing this, got a heck of a job in front of them. It could be that administrations pass in the name of not wanting to kick the hornet's nest. I don't know how you kick a hornet's nest. I mean, I think you should smoke it out first. But if you say do kick the hornet's nest, and now that let's not do it, but now it's necessary to take it on and it's massive, yeah, they're going to sting. We'll see. We'll certainly see. Maybe we're wrong in the sense that it could be that very capable people in law enforcement, the federal, state, municipal levels, have been put on a leash. Maybe they'll be unleashed. And they're much more capable than anybody in leadership wanted to admit. That could be the case. But the problem to our south is a real one. And I think it goes beyond just domestic issues, like the fentanyl pouring into the border, other drugs, human trafficking, all the awful, depraved things you hear about. I think this does play into a geostrategic understanding. Why did Trump want the Panama Canal? Why does Trump want Greenland? Why is Trump so obsessed about the southern border? Because Trump, I think, understands, and many other realists understand, you need to secure your own regional hegemony. Before we continue to worry about Russia, worry about China, worry about Islamic terrorism around the world and the safety of Israel, the United States needs to shore up its own footing in its own backyard. And what is our backyard? It has long been the Western Hemisphere. So we need to protect our flank to the south. We need to protect our flanks to the north and east. Northeast and northwest. Our northern front. And we need to make sure our own backyard right there in Central America is not bringing in all the problems helped by so many of our rivals in other parts of the world. We need to shore up our footing. And that also goes to the work that I hope Doge will do, that this incoming Congress will do in shoring up our finances, making our money sounder, cleaning up our institutions that are supposed to actually help our citizens flourish, as things like education and healthcare really lingers and dies on the vine in so many cases. A lot of work to be done. But it did seem pretty bleak that Trump would win again a year before he did, in fact, win. So who knows? Hope is not being certain that you'll win, but knowing that there is a possibility that you will win. And the possibility of winning is all you need to keep trudging forward. Let's go to line 1. You're on there. Who's this?
Joey, this is James.
Hey, James. How you doing?
I'm okay. As we move forward with the Panama Canal, I haven't heard anybody echo the Monroe Doctrine. Has anybody even stepped on that paper?
I guess it's still kind of quietly in effect. It's not like it's been repealed. I think what's happened is the management of that doctrine has been left
Gone out the window?
Yeah, a little bit. Not completely. I mean, but yes, there's things we need to secure. The Panama Canal being a pretty blatant example.
Yesterday, I'm making my tour around town, something I normally do first thing in the morning, just to get the blood flowing.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody has a Dollar General. Some places got several.
Yeah.
But here in our little town, I'm approaching Dollar General, and there's a man sitting there in a car. You know, your typical Honda or Toyota Camry or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I notice he's got a low back tire. And he has on a ball cap from the Midwest. And his tag, same state, matches the university cap he's got on his head. And I make note of this tire of this guy. And I don't know if he knows he's got a low tire or not, but I'm just trying to help him out. No English. And initially I think this guy's Hispanic. But upon reflection, I'm not so sure if I'm making any sense. And I'm not sure he was Indian either. I mean, this cat could have been Shiite or Shindu, you know, or Shiite or Sunni, you know what I'm saying?
Well, if you got a language barrier, it's hard to find out.
But as I continue in front of Dollar General, there stands Deputy Sheriff. I mean, this cat's all geared up. And I mentioned to him the conversation a whole lot more succinctly than I'm mentioning this. And he said, I've spoke to him. I'm like, okay, and I continued on about my business. But after this incident in New Orleans, it's just, you know, it's a little eerie.
Oh, yeah, and honestly, you don't know. Like, it could be the guy that doesn't speak the Kings, or it could be guy like the Vegas guy is an American, and so is the New Orleans guy. So you just don't know.
No, but I mean, since this is not necessarily a densely populated area, but still, I mean, how do you hide in the wide open, hot sunshine, right?
Yeah, it's everybody probably needs to be on heightened alert, but actually it doesn't even need to be heightened alert. It needs to be more like, as you would know better than me, James, in a smaller area, like you just know your neighbors, know your town.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is my point. I don't know where this cat came from, and this corridor right here is not that far from I-20. Less than 100 miles, or pretty that more or less.
Mm-hmm.
You can be on I-20 from where I'm sitting. Joey, Happy New Year, man, and have a nice day.
Happy New Year. Appreciate it, James. No, Alabama's not as populated. In many ways, we're not a premier cultural target in a lot of ways that a place in New York City or Vegas or even New Orleans would be. But you better believe, we got interstates. And there's a lot of traffic on there. More so than just, say, traffic jams and commuter vehicles or transport trucks. A lot of traffic on there. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. This part of the program brought to you by Josh and Leslie Ryder there at Dillon Rings. Josh Ryder reached out to me this morning, and he wanted me to be sure to give this message. They put it out on their Facebook page saying, "We would like to thank all our clients, friends, and family for the year you all shared with us. Now the holidays are past, and we are back at work on making your stories into wearable art. Stop in to see us today and see what we can make for you." And that's, I think, the secret there at Dillon Rings. Well, hopefully it's not too much of a secret. Josh Ryder, Leslie Ryder, they're wonderful folks. They can help you with in-stock selection or repairs and appraisals and spa treatments, all the things you might imagine with your jewelry. But Josh Ryder, that guy right there, is a true artist. So maybe you're trying to combine two pieces of jewelry. Maybe you're looking to update, say, a wedding band or something like that. Or it could be you had a dream about something, or your imagination's run wild. You really want a unique, custom-made piece of jewelry for something poignant or something fun. Josh Ryder, if you can dream it up, he can make it a reality. So y'all can buy Dillon Rings today. They're reopened for the new year. Ready to see your smiling face walk through the door there at 119 Brown Springs Road, just off of Atlanta Highway, kind of near the whole AUM complex and Taylor Road. I tend to remember it because it's where the old Fun Zone used to be, very close to that. And be sure when you stop by 119 Brown Springs Road to tell Josh and Leslie that Joey, that fella on the radio, sent you. We'll tell you more about Dillon Rings coming up a little later in the program. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. With PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values. This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
What'll it be, Joe?
Coffee and apple pie. Whoa, Madge, what was that?
The lights? Oh, they always dim when the dishwasher turns on.
You should call Crosby Electric.
You think?
Overloaded circuits at your business can be dangerous. The experts at Crosby Electric can upgrade your electrical service to safely handle the load. And they can add receptacles where needed to eliminate overuse of extension cords.
Madge, I'd like to pay you. The problem is it's so dark in here I can't read my bill.
No, the problem is you're cheap.
Well, that's a problem too.
Effective, attractive lighting is essential for any business. Crosby Electric can help with a new lighting scheme that will give your business a fresh, exciting look, and they can recommend outdoor lighting for greater safety and security.
That'll be $4.50 for the coffee and pie, Joe.
Well, don't I get anything for recommending Crosby Electric?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Don't put off essential electrical upgrades for your business. Call 272-2085 or visit crosbyelectric.com.
Now you can add the power of digital advertising to the #1 reach of radio. Let Blue Water's 20 years of local advertising and marketing success show you how. Grow your business with a complete suite of digital solutions, combined with the reach of the most listened to radio group in the River region. Call us or go to BlueWaterBroadcasting.com to find out how we can increase your return on investment. Blue Water Broadcasting, local folks helping local business.
For more information, send an email to digital@bluewaterbroadcasting.com.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend, must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
Well, hi, everybody. We're dealing with some cool days and some very chilly nights, but next brand of some really cold air holds off till next week. Sunshine today, high up to about 55. Mostly clear, chilly tonight, low 33. Friday becoming windy, high 57 with sunshine. Friday night's low in the upper 20s. Saturday's high may only make it to about 49, but the winds will make it seem colder. It'll be sunny. Risk of scattered showers holding off till about Sunday or Sunday night. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
If it concerns your community, you'll hear about it on News Talk 93.1. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Let's go right to the phones at 272-9228 and talk to Sparky. Hey, Sparky, how you doing?
I'm doing good. You know, you got to give Joe credit. He is going to be a moron until the last day he's in office. I understand he's given some award to January 5th committee.
Yeah, to
Very
Liz,
prestigious.
to Liz Cheney and to Benny Thompson.
Yeah, what a guy.
Yeah, he's to honor Liz Cheney with the Presidential Citizens Medal, whatever that is.
Yeah, I don't know. But,
It's the highest civilian award that anybody can get here in this country.
yeah, they deserve it. I hope Liz gets exactly what she deserves. And I think Trump is maybe the guy to do it to.
We'll see. I mean, she got a shellacking in that primary, so she's not in Congress anymore for certain.
Well, that's a plus.
But it shows you how our establishment works and like how the media just keeps her in the front and center and Biden's rewarding her. It's like, what deal did y'all actually make behind the scenes? It makes you wonder.
Joey, I tell you what, if the American people knew what really goes on in Washington, I don't know what I don't know what we can do. But to this stuff, the government is so crooked. It's the dollar bill over anything. Forget your oath of office and all that other stuff. That's just a show. It's what they do for a stinking dollar bill. Now, what is Nancy Pelosi going to do with all her money? As old as she is, she's drunk all the time. I don't know. It's just absolutely frustrating.
Yeah, and I wonder, like those folks, you ask them, why did you do all this to make all that money and to get all that favor? Like what good is it now that you're gone and in retirement?
Yeah, she's she's in her 80s, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's she going to spend? $1 million a day? Can't do it. I don't. All right. Hey, keep up the good work, Joey. We're all behind you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Sparky. 272-9228. I'm just looking at the latest when it comes to the whole Mike Johnson thing, and it looks like with less than 24 hours left until the start of the 119th Congress, Johnson does not have the votes yet to remain Speaker. He's been working diligently over the past few days to lock down the 218 votes he needs. even after spending the holidays working the phones and meeting with President-elect Trump. But even the incoming president's repeated endorsement earlier this week doesn't mean Johnson is guaranteed a victory. Roughly a dozen Republicans are still on the fence, as some of them try to get concessions on the rules or commitments from Johnson on spending. There are some positive signs, though. In addition to Trump's backing, Johnson has managed to keep his official no votes to only one so far. That's Representative Thomas Massie. The one notable holdout, Paul Gosar, is back in Johnson's camp. Plus, despite multiple conservatives expressing reservations about Mike Johnson, there's not a clear alternative candidate who could get the votes. So it might still be going his way as people horse trade behind the scenes before they give him up his vote. And now it looks like House Republican leadership is eyeing Fort McNair, an Army post in southwest Washington, as a tentative location for a conference retreat on Saturday, 2 days from now, on its ambitious legislative plans on the border, energy, and taxes, according to two people familiar with the unofficial plans. Republican lawmakers are being told to stay in town for the meeting, which would be loosely modeled on a successful tax policy retreat held by the House GOP in September 2017, and will focus on how to use the budget reconciliation process to achieve their goals. The process allows Republicans to skirt a Senate filibuster, enabling the party to pass legislation along party lines. So we'll see. Seems like the whole band is almost back together, but Daddy's not home yet, so they want to keep fighting, I suppose. Shifting gears to another branch of government, Supreme Court Justice, the Chief Justice, John Roberts, warns elected officials should not ignore Supreme Court decisions. Yes, he's warned that elected officials should not disregard the rulings made by the court. Roberts, who will mark 20 years at the top of the court later this year, released his year-end report where he warned of increasing attacks on the legitimacy of the court. The court has come under increased scrutiny ever since it moved to a decisive 6-3 conservative majority largely put in place by Trump in his first tenure. Here's a quote from Roberts, quote, "In a democracy, especially in one like ours, with robust First Amendment protections, criticism comes with the territory," Roberts wrote. But he denounced what he considered 4 areas that threaten the independence of the judiciary: violence, intimidation, disinformation, and threats to defy lawfully entered judgments. The Chief Justice, who former President George W. Bush nominated in 2005 after the passing of William Rehnquist, cited the increase in violent threats against jurists. Roberts also slammed elected officials for criticizing the court too strongly, saying, quote, "Public officials, too, regrettably have engaged in recent attempts to intimidate judges, for example, suggesting political bias in the judge's adverse rulings without a credible basis for such allegations." Democrats have argued that the Supreme Court and its decisions have become politicized, particularly in the wake of Dobbs v. Jackson, which overturned Roe v. Wade, and last year's decision to grant Trump immunity for official acts as president, which delayed one of his criminal trials. Roberts went on saying, "Attempts to intimidate judges for their rulings in cases are inappropriate and should be vigorously opposed. Public officials certainly have a right to criticize the work of the judiciary, but they should be mindful that intemperance in their statements when it comes to judges may prompt dangerous reaction by others." At the same time, Roberts said the public officials should not disregard the judiciary. The Chief Justice alluded to how in the past Southern states sought to disregard rules on segregation. But in the past few years, however, elected officials from across the political spectrum have raised the specter of open disregard for federal court rulings. Oh, no! These dangerous suggestions, however sporadic, must be soundly rejected. We'll see. Whether you're talking the Supreme Court, the Congress, the executive branch, and the alphabet soup underneath the executive branch, this weird fourth branch of government, that the interagency process, whatever you want to call it, the deep state. A lot of it. Just, well, something seems rotten in the state of Denmark. Let's go to line 1. You're on there. Who's this?
Oh, this is Billy.
Hey, Billy. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing okay. How are you, Joey?
I'm good.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Hey, I was wanting to speak with you about, well, one thing. well, a couple of things. As far as Mike Johnson goes and the vote on the House Speaker, you mentioned that there was 12 that wasn't committed to voting for him.
Yeah,
Was that?
Yeah, there's sort of like 12 that have not come out and said, I'm never voting for him, but they're sort of wheeling and dealing behind the scenes to get something to vote.
So I take that to mean that there's a little over 200 that are willing to vote for him.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know. It seems to me like that ought to tell these 12 that they should get on board and get the ball rolling toward making some changes, and
but there's
and work with the majority to get things done, the Republican majority to get things done.
Yeah, but there's I hear you. I hear you, Billy. And
the other thing, Joey, was about your comment on us, fighting terrorism all over the world, which I agree with you in part, but I totally disagree with you when it comes to supporting Israel. If I would have been president when these Palestinians did that evil deed against the Israelis, civilians, and took American hostages, I would have immediately worked with Israeli intelligence and got all their intelligence on where these hostages might have been taken to, and then I would have immediately told Hamas, release them immediately, or we're going to come in there and just wipe you out and get our people out. Those are Americans, some of them, and that justifies us doing that. So, and Israel, their military plays a big part in so many different kind of ways as to preventing all the different ways people in other countries of the world would love to cause us harm. So that's the reasons for my disagreements with you, and I just wanted to, talk to you about that.
All I was saying is that whether any foreign thing, whether you're talking about supporting an ally or you're worried about China or Russia, is that cannot distract from us getting our own house in order. And often politicians do that game. Like, I know we suck, but there's this awful thing going on over there, and so stop criticizing me and let's all work together. And sometimes I think they use things as a distraction when they should have been getting our house in order and doing other things abroad anyway.
Well, if we wanted people in the world to respect us, we should have took care of this Hamas situation and gotten our hostages back from working on the second year now. That's a disgrace to this country, the way I see it.
Yes,
all right,
sir.
Joey, thanks, man.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Billy. 272-9228. No, and I think what's going to happen is Trump's going to get back in, and you are going to see a big change. You're already seeing the changes. We shall see what happens with Russia and Ukraine. Apparently, the Russians have been surging more and more all along the front, especially in the Donbass. But all along the front, the Russians have been surging more and more with small movements, even using scooters at times, because you can't move big groups. They're sitting ducks in this new world of war. So we'll see, can Trump get an end to that quickly? I think also you'll see it end to these hostilities going on between Israel and Hamas because Trump, well, he's already, as Billy suggested, threatened the Hamas, you better release the hostages. And for some reason, I think Trump is just more credible on his threats than Joe Biden. Call me crazy, but I find Trump's threats a lot more credible than Tony Blinken giving a stern talking to people. We'll see. But again, my underlying point is we have to get our own house in order. We have to get our own house in order on so many fronts that we cannot let violence and mayhem distract us, especially when it's not in our country. distract us from actually getting our house in order. It'll make us stronger when it comes to those things that go on abroad. 272-9228. If you want to get in on the conversation. This part of the program brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. And they're at Alabama Home Mortgage. They're ready to help you out. Call up Kim Williams and Madeline Cannon today, especially if you're looking to buy a home here in the beginning of the new year. Go ahead and get pre-approved, and they'll walk with you every step of the way there at Alabama Home Mortgage, from pre-approval all the way to closing day. Of course, they have amazing turnaround times on refinance deals, if that's what you're looking to do. Could be you're looking to get credit card debt off your back or any sort of debt consolidated. Could be you're looking to just restructure your finances in general, maybe go on a big vacation, reinvest in your home. The point is, it's your money. It's your equity, your value built up in your home. Why not use it, to help you out? And if you're a veteran, they have veterans in their blood there at Alabama Home Mortgage, and they pride themselves on how much they're able to help veterans take advantage of these benefits the veterans earn through their service. And so whether you're looking for a home purchase or refinance deal and you're a veteran, call up Alabama Home Mortgage. There might be more than you suspect available for you to take advantage of. So call them today. That number for Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or you can always apply online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies. Like Kim and Madeline prove that to you today. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man. Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money?
Well, like most smart folks, we call David Ernest.
You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist?
That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839.
I see.
Yes, he is our preferred money man.
The money man with the money plan.
You've been paying attention.
Well, could you give us those numbers one more time?
334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man.
Oh, what's that?
I'm not an elk.
Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you?
Knights of Columbus.
I am not even going to make a comment.
Well, the baby liked it.
Are you happy with your IT support company? Do they resolve your company's computer issues quickly, or do they leave you down and frustrated? You need your computers working and problems resolved quickly and permanently. GTI is different. GTI has a high standard of affordably supporting and protecting businesses like yours since 1999. Call them now at 819-4650, 819-4650, or visit gtinow.com.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
News and talk without the static. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Again, if you want to get in on the conversation, whatever's on your mind, 334-272-9228. Oh, James Carville's now admitting I was wrong about Kamala. You think? Yeah, you were just a little wrong about all that. As Iran now remembers Soleimani on the 5th anniversary of his assassination by the Trump administration. Like I said, Trump doesn't make these threats idly. That's certainly not his style. But when I say, going back to the point of the getting our house in order, getting our own footing behind us, whether you're talking about securing our geopolitical footing, or you're talking about, say, the finances of the nation. All of this, essentially putting the government on a regiment, on a diet, is necessary for us to take on all sorts of challenges. And one big part of this, say, regiment, will be the folks there at Doge. So I want to play this. It came out a few days ago, but it's still quite good. Peter St. Onge here. He's claiming markets now say Doge will succeed. I like that hope, Peter. Let's listen in.
Spending cuts are coming to Washington whether they like it or not. While Congress hides behind their desks praying the American people let them keep all the trillions they've shanghaied, betting markets are warming to the idea that the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, could actually cut government spending. This would be a big deal because there have been many attempts to rein in federal spending going back decades. Ronald Reagan tried across the board, including the Graham-Hollings Act of 1985 that tried automatic cuts, the Budget Enforcement Act of 1990 that tried spending caps, the GPRA of 93 that tried performance goals, then the Budget Control Act of 2011 that combined caps and automatic cuts. Every one failed spectacularly, swallowed by the bureaucratic Borg and spat out as subcommittees of subcommittees where good ideas go to die, and every budget mechanism is gamed into parity. For perspective, the federal budget during that period, so in 1980 it was just $877 billion, that's $3.2 trillion adjusted for inflation. Today, after a half dozen plus major reforms, the CBO projects the budget at $7.5 trillion, so over double. So that is what Elon, Vivek, and Doge are up against. Thing is, betting markets are actually coming around to the possibility that, yes, this time is different. So betting site Kalshi has 35% odds of at least 250 billion annual cuts, 19% odds of $500 billion, and 11% odds of more than $1 trillion in cuts. Meanwhile, Kalshi's got 67% odds of at least 50,000 federal workers laid off, 51% of more than 100,000, 34% of more than 250,000 federal workers unleashed to go pick the fruit, the illegals left behind. And in case you dare to dream, Kalshi's running 12% odds, 1 in 8, that we can get rid of a cool 1 million federal workers. 1 million tiny trolls pulled from the bowed backs of the American people and cast out into the sunshine. Now, why should you care about betting odds? Because there's a ton of research that betting markets are better than pundits. They're better than experts. They're pretty much the best predictor of reality, for the simple reason that punters' money is at stake. They have an incentive to get it right. And gloriously, the dumb ones lose money and stop making predictions because they don't have any more money. So what is different this time? In short, we've got the most outside-the-box president since Teddy Roosevelt.
Correct.
And one with even bigger balls. We've got a dream team that even Reagan didn't have, a team made of brilliant, passionate, deep-pocketed people who are not doing this for career points. They're doing it because they actually want to fix the country.
Yep.
Finally, as I mentioned the other day, past efforts to shrink Washington have run into the deadly shoals of gaslighting by a left-wing media. They stood ready to cast the very first dollar cut from a federal budget as starving school lunches and feeding grandma cat food. Those days are over. Media is the closest to a fair fight since Woodrow Wilson started government censorship.
Correct.
So unlike 1980 or even 2011, we can finally make our case for smaller government. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained.com. We could be on the edge of the biggest political transformation since the New Deal. Voters want it. You've got the team to do it. And it's going to be a heck of a ride. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.
Again, folks, that's Peter St. Onge. Always worth watching his daily videos. And if you want to do deep dives, you can always go to his Substack. And he's often on Fox Business around this time of the day. So good to see my old friend from Auburn doing so well. And I like that confidence. I think the markets are onto something that this time it's a little different. And if it is, if we can't actually get our house in order, whether financially or in so many other ways, there's rot in this country, well, we'll be better off for it. Not to say there won't be growing pains. Of course, there will be. We'll be right back, folks. Final hour of the program. First show of the new year coming up.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Bourbon Street is open and crowds flocking to the Caesars Superdome. Ahead of the Sugar Bowl, alongside food trucks and foot traffic, a fleet of armored vehicles maintains a watchful presence after the New Year's morning attack that killed 15 people, including the suspect Shamsuddin Jabbar. Separately, the FBI finds there is no definitive link between the New Orleans attack and a truck explosion outside Trump Hotel. That happened in Las Vegas. U.S. mortgage rates rose this week to the highest level since July. The benchmark 30-year fixed rate loan rose to 6.91% from 6.85% last week. That's according to mortgage giant Freddie Mac. Stocks remain lower, the Dow dropping 219 points, the NASDAQ composite 97 in the red. This is SRN News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit. 800-885-3333. That's 800-885-3333. 800-885-3333.
Rich Thomas weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend. Must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
Well, hi, everybody. We're dealing with some cool days and some very chilly nights, but next brand of some really cold air holds off till next week. Sunshine today, high up to about 55. Mostly clear, chilly tonight, low 33. Friday becoming windy, high 57 with sunshine. Friday night's low in the upper 20s. Saturday's high may only make it to about 49, but the winds will make it seem colder. It'll be sunny. Risk of scattered showers holding off till about Sunday or Sunday night. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Thank you for voting ASC Credit Union, the best credit union in the River Region 6 years in a row. As we celebrate our 70th anniversary, we are proud to be at the top of the list for the best credit union in the hearts of the communities we serve.
1819 News.
Congressman Robert Adderholt is the first delegate and potentially the only delegate from Alabama who is publicly throwing his support behind Mike Johnson of Louisiana to continue as Speaker of the House in the new 119th Congress. Adderholt posted on social media that he believes Johnson is the leader we need to usher in relief from the destructive policies of the Biden administration. Other Republicans in the U.S. House are not so convinced, with Kentucky's Thomas Massey saying he will not be voting for Johnson to be the next Speaker, and Congresswoman Victoria Spartz of Indiana saying she needs clear and public reassurances from Johnson himself that he will not betray Donald Trump and his agenda should Johnson be able to retain a leadership position. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Are you enjoying 1819 News? If so, consider joining 1819 News as a member. As a nonprofit news organization, we depend on the support of Alabamians like you. Memberships start out as little as $5 a month, and you'll get access to exclusive content only offered to our members. You'll be supporting independent journalism done by people who cherish Alabama values. Become a member today by visiting 1819news.com and clicking Become a Member. That's 1819news.com and click Become a Member today.
Huntsville police are searching for a missing woman who has cognitive disabilities. 35-year-old Robbie Wilson was last seen on Wednesday of this week walking near the group home where she lives, which is located on Neptune Drive. Wilson is described as white, 4'10", 126 pounds, and was wearing a black jacket along with black boots. A report from the Alabama Department of Labor is showing that the state of Alabama now has over 4,000 nursing job openings that need to be filled. These new jobs are due to people leaving the profession altogether or relocating within the state or out of the state, or that hospitals across Alabama are now expanding in 2025. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Did you know that over 12 times a day, someone in Autauga County calls 911 to report a medical or fire emergency? Volunteer first responders are saving lives and property, and you can be part of their team.
Volunteering as a first responder is really about making a difference where it's needed most, and Autauga County needs you now more than ever. Are you ready to answer the call?
To begin your journey, you can find any of the agencies of the Autauga County Firefighters Association on Facebook or visit makemeafirefighter.org.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
This is a Trump country. We live in the Southeast. We drink sweet tea. We don't drink socialist Kool-Aid.
Yeah. This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy?
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. Now, just a quick update on the Vegas explosion, the Cybertruck explosion outside the Trump Hotel there in Las Vegas. Number one, talk about the greatest ad of all time for Cybertrucks and how, like, hardcore they are. Like, no damage really done to the hotel, not much at least. This new wrinkle just came in. It's awful. It's evil. It's also showing, well, let's just let the Las Vegas police. This is Kevin McMahill, Las Vegas Metropolitan PD Sheriff. Let's listen in together.
So as I'm calling it now, the subject or person of interest, I will not come back until I have the confirmation through DNA or medical records that this is indeed, in fact, the subject inside of the vehicle. Now, further complicating this identification of this individual, we also discovered through the coroner's office that the individual had sustained a gunshot wound to the head prior to the detonation of the vehicle. One of the handguns was found at his feet inside of the vehicle. Obviously, in how we're trying to identify him, and I'm feeling comfortable to give you this information, is a tremendous amount of substantial evidence, to include he rented the Turo vehicle. There are 2 tattoos, one of which was on the stomach and one of which is on the arm, that we can see bits and pieces of it as in comparison to what it is that we now know he had on his body. That has given us a lot of confidence that this is, in fact, the same person, as well as the clearly obvious, which is the credit cards, the military identification, the passport. And then furthermore, as you'll see here in just a very short period of time, we tracked his movements from Colorado to Las Vegas, and in a number of the photographs that we were able to determine, he was the individual that was driving the vehicle. And also, I'd like to iterate this point to you. We still have only ever seen him in this vehicle, and we're not aware of any other subjects involved in this particular case. Now, I would like to acknowledge a couple of things because I know what's going on in the social media world, and there are a number of things in this case that are similar to the attack in New Orleans. We do know that our subject here served in the military. In fact, he's a current member of the military. Both of the subjects served at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. What we do know about that is it's a very large military base, and we have no record that they served in the same unit or even at the same years at Fort Bragg, something that continues to remain under investigation. I also know that they both served in Afghanistan in 2009. We don't have any evidence that they were in the same province in Afghanistan, the same location, or the same unit. Again, something else that remains under investigation.
Right.
And we also know, of course, that they both used the rental company Turo to rent their vehicles. As far as his military background, it's been confirmed by DOD that he was indeed in the United States Army. He was also a Green Beret operations sergeant who spent most of his time at Fort Carson, Colorado, and in Germany. He was on approved leave from Germany, where he was serving with the 10th Special Forces Group.
Man. Well, number one, I don't want to mess with the Metropolitan PD there in Vegas. They seem to be a little more put together than New Orleans at this time. So honestly, I wouldn't want to mess with Senator John Kennedy either. It was a bit of a mess, though. That was, especially them coming out straightforward and saying that in New Orleans, this is not an act of terrorism. It's like, don't say that. It's, number one, it's obvious. This is not some drunk going for a joyride. The videos are obvious. Number one. Number two, if you're not sure, say what that guy just said multiple times. It's still under investigation. That's not going to satisfy everybody that wants the answer now. But don't put out a definitive, not terrorism, because, well, now you have to admit, yeah, it's a pretty evil, barbaric act of terrorism. You know, speaking of evil, ran across a thread that I think is worth our time here. Going into, well, C.S. Lewis. The question is, why would a good God, is the question that a lot of philosophers and believers and non-believers struggle with to this day. But why would a good God create a world full of evil and suffering? C.S. Lewis in particular wrestled with this question for years until it finally hit him. This is the truth, at least as I was taught it, my Catholic upbringing here in good old Montgomery. There is no evil necessarily, quote unquote, only a corruption of the good, a corrupted form of the good. An atheist until the age 32, C.S. Lewis struggled with the idea that a good God could create such an unjust world. Surely there cannot be an intelligent creator behind a world full of so much suffering. But later he questioned, if the universe is meaningless and unjust, why then are we concerned with the idea of justness, of justice and meaning? A man does not call a line crooked unless he has some idea of a straight line, Lewis once said. That a bad universe has beings in it that understand what it means to be bad shook Lewis's worldview. He realized there are only two possible explanations for this. The first is dualism. Good and evil exist as independent forces in some kind of eternal spiritual war. Neither created the other, and both presumably think they are in the right. But if both sides equally believe they are right, how do you define one as evil? To agree that one is better than the other, you need to introduce a third entity, a universal moral standard. Lewis observed that good can be pursued for its own sake, but nobody enjoys bad simply for its badness. Even the cruelest sadist chases a certain pleasure. Pleasure is a good, sought in the wrong way, sometimes in a very wrong way. This led Lewis to option 2. We inhabit a good world gone wrong. Evil is defined in relation to the standard of goodness. In order to be bad, we must have good things to want, and then to pursue them in the wrong way. Like his friend J.R.R. Tolkien, Lewis came to see evil as merely a kind of parasite, not an original thing. The powers that enable it are given to it by goodness. And this rang true in the Christian idea of evil. Satan, or Lucifer, has long been seen as a fallen angel ejected from heaven after rebelling against God. he went bad because of one thing in particular, his pride. It's the same in Paradise Lost. Satan decides to live on his own terms, not God's, loses a battle in heaven, and is thrown out. He sought independence and glory for himself. Good things, but impossible to hold in opposition to God. Evil, in this sense, is defined as distance from the ultimate good, God. Satan's famous battle cry states his desire for distance plainly. Better to reign in hell than to serve in heaven. This pride, according to Lewis, was Satan's ultimate sin, to put oneself at the center and to invent a form of happiness, hollow as it may be, away from God, the very definition of evil. But one more question remained. Why would God allow Satan's rebellion in the first place? Or in other words, why give Satan and mankind the free will to rebel? Because free will, though it makes evil possible, is also the only thing that makes possible any love, or goodness, or joy worth having. This reasoning gave Lewis the strength to maintain his faith in later life, even when shaken by immense grief. The sin of Satan taught to humanity was also his key to understanding the cyclical nature of history. Civilizations begin, thrive, then raise the selfish and cruel to the top until they collapse. Sound familiar? This constant state of war between good and evil is a price worth paying for free will. For the greater the love, the greater the grief, and the stronger the faith, the more savagely will Satan storm its fortress, Lewis once said. And you often see this when you see these violent events, whether it's a firearm or a truck. In this case, we're talking about two different trucks. Like, you see, especially living here in Alabama, living here in Montgomery, everybody's got a truck. Well, a lot of folks do. It's a lot better than a mid-size SUV. That's, in my book, you either get a sedan or coupe or some like car low to the ground, or you get a truck. You with your mid-size SUVs. All you soccer moms, and I know you got a lot of guys too, like, oh, I'm a traveling salesman. Yeah. Get a real car. Anyway, a truck is very useful. A truck is very good. In many ways, a gun, a rifle is very useful and can be used for many good things. I mean, what could be better than defending yourself and those you love? And in many ways, these things put to good ends. Nothing wrong with them. In fact, they're great. I'm sure there's a lot of men throughout history like, man, I wish I had a pickup truck. What could Napoleon or Julius Caesar have done with a pickup truck? Probably a lot of stuff. But that good thing, that useful thing, those practical things that help men put food on the table, help men and women alike get by in their daily life in big ways and small ways, even those everyday things can be twisted to evil ends. You got to wonder, I'm looking at the picture now on Fox Business, Shamsuddin Jabbar, U.S. citizen born in Texas. It looks like it seemed to all go wrong, at least reading the Wall Street Journal this morning. He really went off the rails when he was in financial trouble and then divorced. And it's those moments of separation, it's those moments of turning away that you'll turn to something just absolutely wicked. And when you think of something like Islamic terrorism, this is not God's doing. This is man's doing, no matter how much they appeal to their false god. Does not get anybody closer to heaven. You know, at a certain point, you have to just have common sense about these things. At a certain point, you go, well, if it looks evil, it probably is. Appearances can be deceiving, but most of the time, no, it's right there. And it's a matter of remembering that all the good in your life can be twisted if you begin to slip and you begin to cave in on yourself. And speaking of, by the way, the Islamic terror issue, it's an op-ed out today by Douglas Murray. He starts in the New York Post by saying, let's all give a big shout out to the globalized intifada crowd. Globalize the intifada. You got your way. Congratulations. Hope it feels good, writes Douglas. For years, citizens of Israel have had maniac jihadists driving at them and trying to mow them down on their streets, but this only got cheers from the dolts on U.S. college campuses and New York street protesters. Then, just before Christmas, Germany again got a taste of the intifadas. That was when a Saudi immigrant decided to plow a vehicle through a previously happy Christmas market. Killed 5 people and injured 200. Then on New Year's, it was America's turn again. This time, the wishes of the students at Columbia and other college campuses arrived on the streets of New Orleans. A man carrying an ISIS flag drove a pickup truck through New Year's revelers, killing 14, now 15, seriously injuring dozens more. There are several things to say about all this. The first is that although many people hope the threat of jihadist violence had diminished, it has not gone away. The jihadist groups running Afghanistan and Syria, among other countries, they're back in control of vast areas, as they were before 9/11. By the way, though, weren't we in league with the... Yeah, who's the guy that didn't the United States have a $10 million bounty on the guy who's now running Syria's head, but they removed it because I guess he's better than Assad? What the heck is that? Anyway, Douglas Murray continues. He says, after the 2001 attacks on New York City, America vowed there should be no safe havens for terrorists. That included ungoverned or Islamist-governed spaces abroad where terrorists can be trained and then come to the United States and other Western countries and carry out attacks. Such spaces were indeed reduced by the U.S. and allied forces in the years that follow. They've come back. The second thing to say about all this, writes Douglas Murray, is that it is obvious that a considerable campaign of recruitment inside the United States is still ongoing. The New Orleans terrorist appears to have been radicalized while in the United States. Yes, in fact, he was an American citizen, born in the United States. Whether that was online or via a network within the U.S. will soon be learned. But we should hope that the full force of law and law enforcement agencies come down on any and all such groupings. Many in the intelligence community and police are indeed working hard on such cases. But there is a societal torpor about this work. If the New Year's Eve attack had not been jihadist, but had, for instance, been some far-right white supremacist, every corner of our media and politics would be rightly lining up to demand answers. We would be asking who the people were who had put such a person up to such an attack, who had helped him, who had encouraged him, who had said it was all right, in fact good, to do such a thing. Even after almost a quarter of a century, it's still different with jihadists. There are too many people who think there are cultural sensitivities that have to be respected. People talk about making sure that whole communities are, rightly, not smeared by association. Yet, if people are worried about guilt by association, why not cut that out by being very clear indeed about the sort of people, including Muslims, who do, in fact, encourage terrorism? Take the most prominent Muslim group in the United States, the Council on Islamic Relations. As well as being an unindicted co-conspirator in past terrorism cases, CAIR's leadership is still full of people who are not anti-terror, but actually seem to find it as a shock troop to their advantage. It's quite an achievement if you think about it, to lead a Muslim American organization and praise terrorism only to then complain that too many people conflate Muslims and terrorists. Ever think you're part of the problem, guys? Here's what CAIR's current executive director, Jihad Awad, said after the October 7th attacks in Israel. He told an audience, the people of Gaza only decided to break the walls of the concentration camp on October 7th, and yes, I was happy to see people breaking the siege. The fact that there isn't more outrage about groups like CARE and people like Awad is because they are not as rare as we might wish. And there is too little wider societal courage to call these people out. It's the same in New York City. On New Year's Day, as the bodies were still being collected on the streets of New Orleans, there was a pro-terrorist protest here in the heart of New York. Yes, you read that right. On New Year's Day, hundreds of people gathered in Times Square. The protest was organized by the Palestinian Youth Movement, the Party for Socialism and Liberation of the Peoples, and the People's Forum, as well as participants screaming at Jews that they should go back to Europe. These protesters also chanted continuously for jihad. There's only one solution, they chanted: Intifada revolution. How do these events even go ahead? And when will Americans rise up against the sort of people who support terrorism on our streets? Again, if there was some vast rally of the KKK, hardly the most active group these days, where people praised a white supremacist hours after he had struck and told black Americans, for instance, to go to some other country, there would be zero tolerance for such people. Not only would the police step in, I suspect and sense members of the public would do so as well. So why are we so craven while people on the streets and campuses of this city, New York City, actually call for terrorism, while the citizens in New Orleans have suffered it? It's a question that needs answering, writes Douglas Murray. And there should be a vast reservoir of horror, rage, and disgust aimed at Americans who celebrate terror, even as their fellow citizens are suffering it. Strong words there from Mr. Murray. Again, our number is 272-9228. That's 334-272-9228. Let's go to line one. You're on there. Who's this?
Good job, Joey. Crawdad.
Hey, Crawdad.
Two things real quick. I'm so glad that you had Louis Elizondo on your program. That was fantastic. I hope he comes back and talks to.
He'll be back later this month, probably.
Awesome. Particularly that Maxwell has been a repository for a lot of documents that he might be already knowing about. So thank you for having him on, and you said he will be back later on this month. That's good. I'll be listening. Secondly, when I heard what happened in New Orleans, the first thing that crossed my mind was a Major Hassan at Fort Hood when he got totally into jihad mode and shot up a bunch of his compatriot in the Army at Fort Hood.
I remember that.
Yes, and he, I believe, now he is supposed to stay for life in, Leavenworth, I think. But when I heard about what happened in New Orleans, that's the first thing I thought of is Hassan was already on the radar even while he was doing medical school. They had, I think, they wanted promoting that guy to making him a higher level responsible for fear of offending him because of his religion. But that's what you were just talking about with CARE is how do you work out with someone being a different religion in a United States citizen, but get radicalized by communicating with more people who want to have the Mujahideen right here. And now we got kids laying down and crying or putting tents up, and they don't know what they're talking about. I don't know. But anyway, good job on your show. They're very educational. I always learn a lot listening to you guys. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Crawdad. Really do. No, and I think what needs to be done is you have to be vigilant. You have to know your people. You have to understand that these things aren't going away. They never do. Because people choose evil every day. Sometimes in big ways they make the headlines, and sometimes in small ways. A sort of creeping cowardice that shuts your mouth and as you bite your tongue and don't say the thing, it's right in front of you. We'll see. I stand by a lot of things I believe. I think a lot of our foreign policy adventurism has caused more problems than it's solved them. Even the name of fighting Islamic terrorism. I think our government is bankrupting future generations if it hasn't already bankrupted generations living to accomplish all sorts of goals. And I think the problem is we've started to think that the more money we spend, the more laws we pass, the more we raise hell on talk radio or certainly on social media, then that's what changes the world. It does not. Not in the deepest way. Not in the deepest or widest way. It's actually something James, who called in earlier, hinted at. It's much more about knowing who your friends are, who your community is. But somehow, and we're all caught up in it, our community has become defined by whatever the heck the United States of America is these days. And as much as it does matter who's president, and thank God Donald Trump is going to be there on January the 20th, what matters much more is what's happening in your own backyard. And whether or not the people who sign up to defend you, to look out for you, whether they're paid or volunteers, do they have your support? And are they doing what they need to do to be vigilant? 272-9228. That said, on a practical level, you could say, well, we need more barriers around big events. Like if you have all these people on Bourbon Street, you need those barriers up so trucks can't do this. But that's what's, I think, very unnerving about the truck attacks, whether it's here in the United States or in Europe. That, yeah, like think about Alabama. Everybody's got a truck. And you don't for a second think, well, that truck's just all of a sudden going to hop the curb. Well, it might so they can do a U-turn or something. But hop the curb and start running people over. That just doesn't, you get used to it. We'd like to believe that you can prevent all of this. Well, government that could technically prevent all this will also prevent you from living a free life. Keep that in mind. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. This part of the program brought to you by Josh and Leslie Ryder there at Dillon Rings. And we talked a little earlier about the amazing custom design work that Josh Ryder can do for you. They're back after their vacation from Christmas through the New Year. And go check out that amazing selection they have. Or maybe you're looking for spa treatments or repair work. They can do all of that there at Dillon Rings. But the birthstone for January is, I believe, garnet. Comes in several colors, the most common being red. And there's a widespread belief that, I hope I'm saying it right, garnets have the power to shield their wearers from harm. Saxon and Celtic kings favored garnet inlay jewelry because of the supposed protection. Native American healers similarly believed these gemstones had protective powers against injury and poison. And according to Judeo-Christian tradition, King Solomon wore garnets into battle. During the Crusades, Christian and Muslim warriors both wore these gems. I'm looking at some beautiful examples, mostly come in red, but other colors as well. Get by there. If especially you're born in January, just celebrated a birthday, and you want some beautiful jewelry with your birthstone, Dillon Rings is ready to help you out. You can always go by 119 Brown Springs Road. They're off of Atlanta Highway here in Montgomery. It's kind of the old Taylor Road AUM complex, where the old fun zone used to be. And be sure to tell Josh and Leslie that Joey, the fellow on the radio, sent you. Before the break, let's go to line one. You're on there. Who's this?
Papa B.
Hey, Bobby B. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Well, Blazing Saddles, you probably should say, what a great monologue you had there, here. But, in terms of Blazing Saddles, probably rah-rah.
Frontier gibberish, yeah.
You know, I mean, let me point something out. All right, was Imperial Japan a culture?
Was Imperial Japan a culture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You call that a culture?
Yeah, I would say Imperial Japan was marked by a culture of militarism. Yes.
Yeah, right. And Nazi Germany, was that a culture?
Yes.
So, you know, back then, we had no problem identifying where the problems were and doing something about it, in spite of the fact that there were, quote unquote, probably good people within those cultures. I don't like, you know, doing carte blanche. Well, let's go take on some, you know, vast array of people, you know, loosely defined as, you know, some certain terms. But there comes a point in time where you got to really address the problem. And, you know, we got to identify where the problems are coming from and do something about it. And it's not by some Catholic grandmother going to church doing a rosary. You know, that's not it. You kind of missing the mark there a little bit. I can tell you that I believe that our little church has been surveilled more than once. Although there's nothing there but love for people, you know, we accept everybody, love everybody, try to do everything we can to help. But, you know, that's the problem. It's almost like, well, somebody's doing something, so let's go slap their neighbor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instead of, I mean, what?
No, it's not about collective suspicion even. It's more, well, in these two instances, one does seem inspired by Islamic terrorist groups like ISIS. The other, it's not very, I mean, who's this guy who blew up the Cybertruck? Like in his 30s,
right.
Veteran, special forces guy. Like some are speculating maybe it was Ukraine and they both were at Fort Bragg and who knows?
Well, look, let's go back to one in particular that everybody's familiar with, Bubba Wallace. Okay, so Bubba Wallace sees a pull rope on a garage door that he says it looks like a hangman's noose.
Yeah.
And the halls of the FBI were inches to come down.
And the media ran with it
Alabama,
big time. Yeah.
And they investigated everybody.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, even the people that didn't know they were being investigated got investigated. So, you know, and so they had no problem, you know, coming in and investigating a pull rope on a garage door. But then, you know, where it comes to real people blowing people up, they have some sort of reticence about it. Why? Well, I think you kind of nailed it. Cowardice, you know, top of the list. But there's also false narratives that we've got to somehow play patty cake with people that, you know, are, I don't know, preferred classes? How would you call it? How would you, you know, categorize it, Joey?
See, what's coming more to my mind is the pretense, this idea that the government, if we give it enough power, money, and resources, is omnipotent and omniscient. And it's just not.
Yeah, okay.
And government gets close to that, I don't want to live under. So I think a lot of this is a smokescreen of we're the FBI and we stop the terrorist. When, of course, to your point, they go for the high-profile, easy cases to solve because it's high-profile and easy to solve. So it's probably a combination of things. I think it's a combination of the government can't prevent all of this stuff. It's just, and I don't want to live under a government like that. I think it is at times cowardice. Or just looking the other way. Maybe you're just lazy or you're just tired of the job or you miss something one day. And then other times I think it's like, well, don't be bigoted in a particular way. I think that does come up, yes.
I think that's more along the lines of what it is. They've got this idea of what it means to be bigoted and who it means to be bigoted against. And they, you know, can't really cross those paradigms. You know, they've got worldviews that just don't really kind of take into account real world in a lot of ways. But, you know, I didn't really call in to talk about that. I really wanted to, you know, kind of get to something else.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
Go for it.
I don't think that we're going to have any problems with the Mike Johnson's nomination or, you know, election, whatever they call it, now that Donald Trump has kind of stepped in. So, you know, the thing that was still interesting to me was I mentioned the other day about those Donald Trump digital trading cards and how I believe that was some sort of a psyop, you know. Now, I mean, I don't know who did the psyop, and I don't know who they were doing it against, and I don't know what if any information they were gathering. But I think there was one happening because it's the only thing that really makes sense once you start looking at the reactions and counter reactions of what all was going on there. I do believe that Donald Trump has come to somebody and doing some things behind the scenes that we just don't know about.
Sure.
And may not ever know about.
Right.
So, thinking about that, though, once the Trump team gets into place, and I'm talking about particularly Cash Patel and Pam Bondi, who, Joey, do you think are going to be like top of the hit parade, Jack Boot Bug rated like Democrats?
I don't know. I know the Jack Smith and all his team at DOJ is very nervous. There's been a lot of reporting on that.
I think so.
If I was upper level manglement of intelligence and FBI, I would maybe not. You're not necessarily gonna be handcuffed, but you're gonna have to sit down for some involuntary conversations, and you might not have work anymore.
Yeah. You know, the golden rule says do unto others as you would have them do. Well, they've been doing unto Trump a very long time. I think they're about to be done unto, and I mean that in every way. It's me. And like I said, some of it's going to know about, some of it you're not. And probably most of it we're not going to know about.
Well, I think Cash Patel, for instance, on day one can start cleaning house and pick who he actually wants in the office leading the FBI.
Well, there's no doubt about that.
And I think that is, to me, if somebody really did commit crimes and you can investigate it, prove it, put them on trial, convict them, go for it, man. But the fastest thing we can do to make this government better, right-sized, and have the right priorities is just give pink slips out to a lot of folks. Like, get out of here.
Right. Well, let me just say this. Through the big, you know, news camera out there, oh, we're going to have helicopters flying around and people in patrol boats around people's houses. And, you know, this big, you know, event where somebody's going to get raided. That's not Trump style, and that's not really the way it should be at all. Right. They did it that way to Trump because they wanted the camera. You know, they wanted the news cycle, and they got it.
Well, and
but
I haven't.
As far as the,
go ahead. I was going to say, I haven't entertained my very cynical side yet today on all this. And part of me, it's not all of me, it's just the cynical part, is thinking like we probably wouldn't be talking about this event in this way if it was a more robust news cycle. Instead, it happens on the day where hardly anybody's wanting to pay attention to news and just want to enjoy, say, football games and family's company. And this occurred.
Yeah.
And I think that's, because practically at the end of the day, how do you stop trucks from running over people?
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
I know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, fill me in. I haven't seen that. Just very briefly, just fill me in on what happened there. I didn't see the news.
Or no, the one in New Orleans, you can see him go past like some cars and police, and they do have around Bourbon Street the big barricades you can lift up out of the street. They did not have those up, and so he was able to get to Bourbon Street, and then you just see him like, I mean, haul ass. Excuse me, pardon me, folks. He's going at a high rate of speed, just running over folks, and then gets into a gunfight, and the video is very apparent in that regard. And then the Cybertruck thing is the damnedest thing. In a way, it's kind of a great advertisement for the Cybertruck and how beefy that bad boy is. But my point is, we've seen a bunch of these in Europe and the United States where somebody takes a vehicle and runs over folks. Like, what, we're going to start suspecting everybody with a pickup truck now? Come on.
Right. Yeah, and see, so, but you know what? There is such a thing as misplaced priorities, and I think this government, our government, has a lot of them. And you know, if some, maybe more, can be prevented, certainly it ought to be without having to go into, like I said, grandma's church to see if they are, you know, not practicing what they preach or whatever. Anyway, all right, Joey. Well, thanks for letting me call. I appreciate it as usual and enjoying the show.
Appreciate it, Papa B. Got to hit this break, folks. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage. For many years, my team and I have worked diligently to provide our veterans with top-notch service, as it is our honor to serve those who have served us in the armed forces. Madeline and I are certified veteran lending specialists. Nationwide, there are over 22 million veterans that qualify to purchase a home through the VA loan program. Yet less than 2 million of them currently have a VA home loan. Many lenders do not keep up with the ever-changing guidelines and benefits of the VA loan program. They are intimidated by the program, resulting in many veterans not obtaining VA loans. This is unacceptable. The VA home loan program offers service members and veterans with 100% financing. You've already paid your down payment. If you are currently serving or have honorably discharged, we would love an opportunity to discuss how the VA program can serve you. Give Alabama Home Mortgage a call at 567-4223 or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com to complete an application on your time. Thank you for your service. NMLS 1586-368, Equal Housing Lender.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Riverside Chevrolet Wetumpka. If it's Chevy, it's Riverside. Best price, best selection. Check them out on the web at riversideusa.net.
Well, hi, everybody. Our cool days and chilly nights continued for tonight. Mostly clear. Overnight low temperature down to about 33. Tomorrow it becomes windy with a high temperature up to about 57 on Friday. Low temperature upper 20s on Friday night. Then on Saturday, we may only make it to about 49, but the winds will make it seem colder. There's some spotty showers on Sunday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
We're redesigning financial freedom at CB&S Bank. Make purchases at participating stores and restaurants using your CB&S Bank debit card through your mobile devices with Mobile Wallet. Charges and fees may apply for your cellular service provider. Contact your service provider for more information. Member FDIC.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
They've been performing for over 60 years, and on Saturday, February 22nd, they'll be performing for you. It's Exile live at the Impact. From their origins in pop to their success in country, don't miss Exile live on stage for one night only. It's Exile live at the Impact on Saturday night, February 22nd at 7 p.m. Tickets are on sale now at the Impact box office and Ticketmaster.com.
Did you know that over 12 times a day, someone in Autauga County calls 911 to report a medical or fire emergency? Volunteer first responders are saving lives and property, and you can be part of their team.
Volunteering as a first responder is really about making a difference where it's needed most, and Autauga County needs you now more than ever. Are you ready to answer the call?
To begin your journey, you can find any of the agencies of the Autauga County Firefighters Association on Facebook or visit makemeafirefighter.org.
Lewis at the Capital Oyster Bar, and I just want to tell you, if you're in business or got an event coming up and want to do some advertising, wisely spent dollars are spent down here at Blue Water Broadcasting. All the guys are nice, easy to work with, and I see results, I guarantee you.
Blue Water Broadcasting is the #1 most listened to radio group in the River region. Find out how to put this reach to work for your business. Call us to find out how we can help. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folk, helping local business.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
The River Region's first and only news talk station on FM. Live, local talk. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. Hey, Ray, how you doing?
Man, I am great. How about you guys?
I'm doing all right. Eddie had to take the day off, so I don't even know how he is.
Well, I can tell you this so far this year has been the best year ever.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So, but 2 days in, give it. Let's get to the end of the month.
And you're just talking about in your own bubble, like yeah, me too. Like, I'm doing great so far, just 2 days in.
Well, Angie, in all her wisdom, did invite some people over to the house New Year's Eve. And so when I got off of work, I had to take off work early to get ready for it. And I said, hey, honey, here's the deal. I got to have a nap and coffee if you expect me to be up at 12 o'clock. Well, the problem was after nap and coffee, I was up to like 3 o'clock, laying in bed, twitching and twittering like a squirrel on crack cocaine or something. It was awful. Besides that, it was a really good night.
Yeah, it was pretty good besides that whole thing. So y'all still selling carpet here in the new year?
We are. We have some great deals, a bunch of in-stock stuff. I'm sending a crew to the beach tomorrow to price out a couple condos down there. So if you can hear us, we will come to you. Call us 285-8117. We'll come out and give you that free estimate. And there's a reason. Let's circle back to that little tidbit going to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason that people here that know me, that own property, condos and stuff, get us to go down there and do it. Because it's a shame that we can go from Prattville down to the Gulf Shores and do it cheaper than everybody down there willing to do it. So if you own a piece of property down there, call us if you need any kind of work. We'll run down there and take care of it for you.
And, of course, folks, at Prattville Carpet, it's not just carpet. It's also traditional hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, laminate products, ceramic tile. They do it all, any sort of resurface job. And when you call them up at 285-8117, be sure to tell them you heard Ray Bowles on the radio with that Joey fella.
Hey, have a great day.
You too, Ray. So what did we learn today? Well, I just learned, like, I knew she seemed like a cartoon character. Does not inspire confidence, but the police chief there in New Orleans, Ann Kirkpatrick, apparently admitted this recently. What the heck?
What you see behind us is what we call hardening the target. So we have brought in heavy trucks. You will see when you go down Bourbon, you will see yellow, what we call archers, and they're along the sidewalk. And that would be to be preventive if someone had, or if this particular terrorist went around up on the sidewalk, that's what that would do, okay? It would slow that down for anyone who thought that they could breach our targets. And so those are some of the main differences we are done in the quarter. Also, you are going to see an incredibly large presence of police. And we are, though, confident, but we want our community to feel confident and know they are confidently safe. And that's what we're going to do. So right now, I can declare to you that the Bourbon Street is open.
Chief, where did those archers come from?
Sorry?
The yellow archers, where did they come from?
Actually, we have them. I didn't know about them, but we have them.
Well, at least she's being honest. Really, lady?
I didn't know about them, but we have them. And so we have been able now to put them out.
Okay.
So everything's under control. Yeah, I'm the chief of police. I just figured out we have sidewalk barricades we could have put up. You know, when you do an after-action report on all these things, they're always unique. People look for easy answers. Well, we have to be clear on Islamic terrorism. We have to secure the border more. We have to, yes. Stop it with the DEI stuff. Yes, Queen. I say it to all that stuff. Sure. But there are no easy answers. It comes down to competence at your leadership level locally in your PD department. It comes down to when somebody sees something suspicious with American citizens that's like really crazy behavior, whether supporting ISIS or just going off the reservation, losing touch with people. You know, maybe you should look into it. Most of the time, it's probably not going to be the worst, like we've seen. But whenever you're asking, how did this happen? Well, there are many answers to it. The easy answer is, well, just in practice, ain't that easy. Doesn't mean you shouldn't try. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be on top of things. But that is an amazing clip. I didn't know about these things till yesterday, but now I do. And look at our presence here as the Sugar Bowl gets underway. Mom talking about losing her son. Yeah, I don't know if y'all saw the amazing video of a young man who thought he and his friends had escaped, only to find out one of his friends had been mowed down. Seeing photos of those. Prime of their life. Prime of their life. You never know when it'll happen, folks. And though there are many things we should have done yesterday, just have to remain vigilant. Again, y'all say a prayer, especially for the Dolphin family here locally. Drew Dolphin recently graduated from Auburn University. He died in the terror attack. Local news reporting it in detail. Graduate from ACA here in Montgomery. Played basketball and football. Man, may that young man rest in peace. And y'all say prayers for his family, the Dolphin family. Should never have to bury a son or daughter, but like I said, it's awful. So we learned that, not everything's going to be pretty. Evil is still very real. And just seeing that's what's getting me in this mood. I'm seeing all the senior photos and college photos and candid shots of all these young men and women. Different backgrounds, different last names. It's awful. Well, happy hour with Greg Budel's next. I'm sure it'll be as happy as ever, given the news today. But I'll be back tomorrow. I think Eddie will be here. I think Craig Munger, if that's how you say his name. I think Craig will be here. We should have a lot of back and forth and fun. On Fridays, it's always a free-for-all, so who knows what we'll get into and who knows what the news will bring. And hopefully, the game goes off without a hitch tonight. What was it, Georgia and Notre Dame? Life will go on, though some are affected more than others. And like most people, especially here in the South, we all know those streets. We've all had our fun down there. Woulda, shoulda, coulda on part of the authorities. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. Well, I'm going to get out of here. Sorry to end on such a somber note, but that's the news today. Hate to see it kicking off the new year. But y'all stay tuned. Happy hour with Greg Budel. He's next.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WAC